Can they hear me? They hear me live out there. Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted to.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, nanny ghosts, Velas, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working a hustle and a get it, a get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater, watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bang out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Von's crib. Eating funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper.
Good evening, listeners. How we doing, everybody? This is the X-Cast, episode number 76 of the X-Cast, to be exact. It's day 5001 in the search for Tim Chevelday. I'm your host, Josh Houselander. With me, as always, across the table is Mr. Adam Hernandez, the producer, the brain behind everything here at theempiremedia.com. We have a special guest co-host tonight as well, but
he's not here yet.
Diva rock star Mike Sroka hasn't shown up yet, so we decided we'd somehow try to start the show without him. But Mike Sroka should be here with us as well, so when you hear him jump in, well, you a lot of you already know the voice of Mike Sroka.
About 10 minutes ago, it looked like he was still on Facebook.
he could be driving though.
Yeah, he's probably driving and Facebooking.
It's possible. It's possible. But hey, we're taking some callers tonight in a little bit. It's looked like some people were already trying to call in as the as the intro is starting off. So if that was you trying to call in, just give us a little bit here to get the show rolling and get a few people on, and then we will we'll take some callers. That number is going to be 734-335-1835, the official Xcast phone number. We don't take callers that often on this show. Not when we do, it's usually scheduled callers, but we don't take callers that often. But tonight's going to be kind of a different show. We're talking a lot of competitive gaming. Adam and I had Bill Mitchell on 2 weeks ago, and it was a controversial episode. He spoke his mind. He got a lot out there, but a lot of other people in the gaming community, it seems like they wanted to get their 2 cents in as well. So we're gonna do our best tonight to do that for people. We're gonna get a lot of people on. We got a couple people that we know are calling in, kind of semi-scheduled calls. And like we said, Mike Sroka will hopefully be in here live in studio with us as well. But
again, though, that number is 734-335-1835 because we were a little late tonight getting on just because there was some mix up with the phone line. So
right,
again, 734-335-1835 is.
So, Adam, 2 weeks ago, we didn't talk about it a whole lot last week because we had a different show scheduled. Mm-hmm. But 2 weeks ago, we talked with Bill Mitchell on here. Joel West was on as well. And, I thought it went well. I did. How did you feel about this interview? I know you're not really involved directly in the competitive gaming world.
No, I'm not. I look, I think I summed up how I felt, I believe last week and right after we were done talking with Billy Mitchell. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of this whole thing.
Sure. My
connection to all of this is you guys. I've known you and Mike for many, many years now. I know you guys have been involved with it. And I know some stuff.
Sure.
I know who Billy Mitchell is. I know what he's known for. I know what Steve Weeby's known for. I know what Hank Chen's known for. I know some of the other cast of characters when it comes to the Twin Galaxies, realm there.
Sure.
And everything that I've heard is Mike asking you the address.
Mike's asking me the address.
God damn it.
Answer him, will you? Okay, sorry everybody. That is Mike Sroka. Evidently,
he texted me too.
Okay,
I don't know how to work your weird phone.
Sorry everybody. Our co-host is out looking for the studio, so sorry about that. But
But like I was saying, everything that you guys, well, that I've heard as far as how things used to be verified,
sure.
and how things are verified now. Obviously, it seems like it's very, very different.
Very different.
I
Absolutely.
mean, before you had to have a referee present when you were getting, when you were breaking a record.
Yeah,
correct?
or a tape.
Or a tape.
Or a tape that you sent in directly to a referee, and when you did that, you had to show.
But again,
things.
though, Billy Mitchell's record, the record that he is known for, was verified by referee.
Correct.
At an arcade.
Yes, at a place called Boomers. I don't know if that would qualify as like a full arcade or if they just had like a couple of machines there or what.
So, if that's the case, if Billy Mitchell's record was verified by a referee at Boomers, and it was entered in by a referee, then what's the problem? And even if there was a tape, who cares? That's not the record, right?
Yeah, and hopefully some of the community, when they call in tonight, can lend some insight to that, because that really is it's an extremely valid point, and I think it needs to be made clear if something is in question of what Bill Mitchell did in the past, then we need to be clear what exactly is in question. Is it the trustworthiness of specific referee or referees that verified the record? Is it a tape? Because, like you said, there's questions of whether or not the tape even matters. So there's a lot of different questions here.
And again, I may be totally off base in this. Like I said, I am as outside of this as you could possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But it seems like everything that I've heard, that seems to be the case.
Sure.
And
where people seem to be coming down on me, and hey, don't feel if your phone call tonight, if you want to call in as part of the competitive gaming community, and your phone call tonight just simply wants to be, rag on Josh and Adam, or rag on Josh for his, that's fine. Go ahead. We're not going to stop you.
Don't rag on me though.
You could rag on me all you
want. Just kidding. Rag on me. I don't care.
But we're just trying to throw it out there, and yes, it's true. I like to say that I don't really have a side in this. I'm not trying to push an agenda here. But am I friends with Billy Mitchell? Yes, I am. Bill Mitchell and I are friendly. We have met a couple times.
Came on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with him many times. I've met him in person, I don't know, half a dozen times or less or something. But are we friendly? Yes, we are friendly. Where another opinion of mine that I'm just going to try to be out in the open about that could be construed as taking a side on this, I oppose the dispute system as a whole. Okay, that is true. I have since day one. I think it's a terrible idea, and when I first heard that they were going to bring in a dispute system, I did. I truly thought and still think that was the beginning of the end of Twin Galaxies. That's just an opinion, guys. It's that I have no facts to back that up. That is just my opinion. I think it's a bad idea. To me, if something is deemed a world record, it is a world record forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. That's me. And I feel like it's a big time slippery slope, and that it's caused a lot of strife and a lot of animosity. There is a ton. Before this and after this, there's so much animosity in the competitive gaming subculture. And if me and Adam and the XCast can, help to ease that burden and help to lessen the animosity, then hey, that would I think that would make us both happy. Is that our sheer goal in life? No, we're actually just podcasters, guys.
Seems like a dispute.
We just host a show. That's it.
It seems like a dispute system, Josh. It opens it up for way too much politicking
sure does.
in all of this. When if you're going to take, for instance, if I don't like you, Josh,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like that record that you have, and all of us. I mean, I'm not quite sure how this dispute system works. Is it if you get enough support behind it, then you can get a record removed?
You know what? Ask Mike Sroka that question when he is here. When he finally does show up. I could lend a good amount of insight to that, but as someone who has not been on the Twin Galaxies forums in a very long time, and for someone, talking about me here, who is not connected to Twin Galaxies directly at this point at all, I don't want to answer that question, especially when we're going to be taking callers tonight, a lot of whom could answer that question better than I could, because I've never taken part in it. You know, I never have. I don't approve, and I'm not saying that. I am by no means whatsoever saying that this is why I left Settled on the Screen. I'm not saying that, and it wouldn't be true if I did say it. But
and I can verify that myself.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to bring it up. I know personally why you left Settled on the Screen.
Right.
It has nothing to do with video games or Twin Galaxies
It doesn't.
or
doesn't.
anything like that. So
no, it certainly does not. So I hope people know that. It's just, but it is true too that, and that's one reason we wanted to have Mike Sroka on tonight, and someday he's going to show up.
Yeah, whenever he gets here. That's fine.
But he might just be wandering around outside the studio for all we know. I don't know, deciding which door to walk in. I'm not sure. But, one of the reasons we wanted to have Mike on tonight was because it's true. Before Settled on the Screen got canceled, I did leave before that by my own volition. Whether we, before they knew it was going to get canceled or didn't know that it was going to get canceled. So that's all true. And I'm not saying this because everyone is dying to know the history of Josh Houselander and Twin Galaxies. Nobody cares. I understand that. We're just trying, Adam and I, to set the stage for what's going on tonight and set the stage to show that are Adam and I people that have opinions? Do we show bias throughout our opinions? Well, of course we are. Yeah, I mean, we're radio show hosts, and we're gonna give the opinion as we see it. But do we have an agenda here? No, we don't. We really do not.
And it's unfortunate, Josh, because it seems like there is an agenda when it comes to all of this. Mm-hmm. It seems like people, it's somebody that doesn't like Billy Mitchell, or mm-hmm. it's somebody that doesn't like,
or perhaps it's somebody that really does like Billy Mitchell.
Yeah,
that could be to play the other side of it as well. And social media is really cool, but social media also really sucks sometimes. And sometimes when people get into it with each other on social media, especially on Facebook, it seems to be famous for it. Stuff comes out, it gets nasty before it should get nasty. And I'll be honest with you, most of the time when I've read threads criticizing this, I just look at the two people arguing and I think, oh, they both sound like jerks. Mm-hmm. That's usually what I think. 9 times out of 10, when I see two people debating this, I get nothing out of the conversation other than, well, both those guys sound like jerks. And a lot of times when I see that, and I read that, it's about two people who I've maybe met personally or maybe had some sort of personal interaction, even if it wasn't in person. I've had an interaction with that person, and I know for a fact that they're actually not a jerk. Mm-hmm. Like, I actually know, like, this guy talking is not a jerk. Maybe both people talking in this conversation are not jerks, but reading those two comments, yeah, you both sound like jerks. So maybe tonight, we can get some people on, you can talk in person, you can have an opportunity to prove that you're not a jerk, or prove that you are a jerk. That's okay too.
Because it certainly seems like a lot of people that have divulged themselves into this scandal, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. Like I said, are going by personal politics. Right. This whole thing may not have the entirety of the story, and quite frankly, are throwing. And this goes well beyond what has happened with Billy Mitchell or Todd Rogers, but people will go out there and say stuff about somebody who they have never met before.
Correct.
They are simply going off of what somebody else may think of that person, or some clip they heard in some podcast, mm-hmm. or somebody who they choose to have on said podcast, all of a sudden that person is a misogynist,
Sure.
or they're a racist, or they are a bigot, and so on and so forth. And it's those same people out there that want to go ahead and say that they are in with that whole subculture.
Mm-hmm.
They are they have made a name for themselves in that subculture, and they can go on and on and on and on about this and about that and about Billy Mitchell and about Todd Rogers and about Rudy Ferretti or somebody else.
Sure.
Somebody else. Yet when those individuals are given a chance to respond to their biggest critics,
they don't take that opportunity.
They don't take that opportunity, and they get all pissy and shitty that those people are all of a sudden responding. Because I know after last week's show, there were some people out there that were angry that Billy Mitchell was getting that the opportunity to speak.
Yes.
And the opportunity to speak and comment on perhaps some of his biggest critics.
Sure.
Within that gaming community. And some of those people got pissed off that that their name may have come up.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but during the course of an interview, you can look at this, in terms of politics or sports or something like that. I'm sure when somebody was interviewing Shaq,
sure,
and Kobe's name came up, was Kobe getting pissed off, or should Kobe have been surprised if somebody asked Shaquille O'Neal about Kobe and his relationship with Kobe and what he thought about what Kobe implied or said during a point in time on the basketball court or off the basketball court? Maybe he did, but that's part of it.
It is part of it.
Same thing in politics. If somebody asked Donald Trump or Barack Obama about something that somebody else said, I'm sorry, but if you're putting yourself out there, if you're making these comments, and you are one of those personalities, you are one of those faces, you are one of those more prominent figures within that community, well, then you've injected yourself into that. You've injected yourself. You've in many ways made it fair game, so somebody like yourself, Josh, can go and ask that question to Billy Mitchell.
Right.
What do you feel about this person saying this about you? And it's not like somebody. It's not like that person who has come up in the topic is just, is some obscure person that Billy Mitchell maybe didn't know.
Sure.
It's somebody who Billy Mitchell knows, and you wouldn't ask the question if you didn't think Billy Mitchell knew that person.
Right. And listen, and I think the basic idea of what Adam is saying to anyone in the competitive gaming world is, listen, if you have made the decision to put yourself out there in a public forum...
We're getting a call right now, Josh.
Then...
no matter what they do, can have a political position on something. What? Hold on 1 second there.
Okay. Do we have...
No, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Wait.
Caller, you're on.
Caller, you're on. You're on the XCast. What's up? Hello? Hello?
I don't know.
Caller, we got you? No? Yes?
No? Maybe? I don't know.
Okay. Well, basically, what we're saying is, listen, if you've made the decision to put yourself out there in a public forum, then you're possibly going to get mentioned in said forum in the future. That's how it is. You have no right to privacy. You have no expectation of privacy when you've put yourself out there in this forum. So that's what we're saying. We got some crap for what we said and what we didn't say to Bill Mitchell in that interview, and that's why we're going to try to let people out there. And so many people love to say nasty things about people, and then when they're given the opportunity to come on and speak their piece, they don't do it. They don't do it at all. And we'll mention some of those people, but here's that caller back, I believe.
Caller, you there?
You're live on the Xcast. Hello.
Okay, we have another caller now.
Okay.
Caller,
Hello.
you're on. Hello.
Yeah, this is Rudy J. Foray, the real console player of the century. You know, somebody that actually plays video games and actually has records.
If it isn't Machine Gun Rudy himself,
It is me. I just want everybody to know, because you guys told me, you know, I got to be Machine Gun Foray. Well, here's the deal. You got one person that lives off their wife that doesn't work, that friggin' sucks Jace's cock, okay? You got another one that lives off his wife that sniffs friggin' jock straps, okay? Never played video games until 2006 or the King of Kong. Hold on.
Hang on, Rudy.
Don't talk about Josh.
Hang on, Rudy. Listen, you are allowed to say what. Listen, I'm not going to endorse any personal attack tonight on anyone. But with that being said, I'm not going to stop anyone from saying their piece too. So, Rudy,
Well,
we still got you.
understand.
So go right ahead, jump in there. The Baron of bomb drops himself, Rudy Ferretti.
Sure.
You definitely will have your say. So Rudy, go for it, buddy. Make it happen.
I just want everybody to know that, like, most of you guys in the gaming scene have never done the accomplishments you claim. You're all full of shit. You live off your wives. You live in your basements, and you really do. You guys have never played video games, most of you, till the King of Kong. You came in to suck Jace Hall's cock, especially William McAvoy, because he lives off his wife and doesn't work. You got another person who lives in the state of Denton, Texas. Of course, his name is Patrick Scott Patterson, lives off his wife, does nothing but friggin' bum people for, you know, handouts and everything else. You see, me, I actually did accomplishments, you know, unlike all of you. There's nobody in the gaming scene that's ever done as much as I have. It's not about me doing bumfuck Donkey Kong or doing something that you guys think matters. It's collectively I've done more than anybody. And let me tell you something. When the time comes, everybody's going to know the truth. Now all the truth is being exposed. You got people who think they're part of God, but then they have people signing affidavits and NDAs to get out of giving money and taking money from people to put scores into the database. You know what? The world will be better when all of you evil people drop dead. And you deserve to die for what you've done to people, taking money, lying to people, and everything else.
Hold on, Rudy.
And I mean it.
Oh, wait a second, Rudy. I mean, again, you're talking about people dropping dead. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. And we're talking about video games, though.
But it's not about video games. It's about there was no money involved. So taking things away and people's accomplishments and pretending to be somebody you're not all your life, and then pretending to do something you didn't do when somebody actually did it first, and changing rules, changing settings, and scamming people like that have no place on earth.
Okay.
That's corruption, collusion. It's dirty.
Rudy, I'm going to glaze over the idea that you're maybe going a little overboard.
Yeah.
But what I will ask you to do is I'm not saying you're right, wrong, anything. I'm just saying that you're jumping into something that a lot of people don't quite understand exactly what you're talking about, because we're not all. Please keep in mind that there's even some people listening to tonight's show that are just regular XCast listeners that don't understand this thing. So if you'll elaborate on what
no problem.
the accusations you're making.
Everybody, if this is your first time tuning in or you have nothing to do with the gaming scene, it's very simple. It's just as corrupt as music and Hollywood. You see, you have people that have done nothing ever in their entire life, but because they're in people's pockets and pants, they get the recognition, even if they never did anything that they did. So they get the recognition and you get nothing. So if you're going to come into the scene, make sure you do your own thing. You cannot rely on the people that are supposedly the puppet masters of the scene. Take it from me, I know. I went through the same thing that Bill Bastable went through 30 years ago. I'm living the same thing now. It sounds funny to you. You think it's no big deal. But you know what? When you do an accomplishment and you're the first one to do it and it gets taken away from you because somebody doesn't like you, or you don't get on your hands, or you don't have the money to fund it, that's a problem. And those people deserve nothing on the face of the earth. So don't even get involved if you're going to have to deal with that.
Hey, Rudy, a question from me.
Yeah.
Why are you such an outcast when it comes to the gaming community? I mean, I'm not going to question how good you are at playing video games. I don't play video games myself.
Okay.
I'm like I said, I'm on the outside looking in when it comes to this whole thing. What has made you such a public enemy number one in some regard when it comes to the video game community, and why have you been cast aside or shunned or thrown out? What is your take on that?
it's very simple. I mean, it's jealousy. People don't like people that are good looking and great at what they do. They want somebody that's an image that's going to be their yes man, get on their hands and knees, give money, give publicity. My friends have done it. Some of you, not you personally, not Josh, so let me make that clear. Some of you that are listening have done it. You all be ashamed of yourselves. You guys have done whatever it takes to get fame, glory, whatever. And it doesn't matter if you've ever accomplished anything. I mean, how do you people sleep at night knowing that you guys are frauds and fakes? See, when I go to sleep, I'm proud of myself. What I get upset about is that I did all these things and it gets unnoticed. It's not about it doesn't matter. Every score matters. Every game matters. It's about what you like and what you do. So this is what's happened to me. I was the cute little fucking boy that came into the scene and had all the skill and talent, but because I wouldn't kiss ass and be fake and be a fraud and join these frauds and saw right through them, they didn't like that. So they said, you know what, Rudy can't be part of this. We're going to do whatever we can to destroy him. So they changed settings, they changed games, they changed characters, they made sure I couldn't get aboard, whatever it took to destroy me, you know. And, it failed. Nothing worked. They think like, well, he's no longer part of Twin Galaxies. Actually, they did me a favor. I was looking to get out of there. I wanted to be out on my own account, but, it's okay.
So looks had something to do with why you are.
Are you denying Rudy's cuteness, Adam?
Oh, come on. I mean, Rudy, you're not an ugly guy by any means.
Oh, I know that. I'm probably the best looking, most accomplished gamer out there. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit it. I mean, I really would like to see somebody put their face next to mine and say that they're better looking than me. Please do so. What Billy Mitchell? Patty? Let me see, Mackie Boy? Oh, JC? Really? Better looking than me? Seriously, I lost 16 pounds? I'm sorry, I'm the best looking gamer in the classic gaming scene, period. Sorry to hurt anybody's feelings, so just the way it is. And I've got the best body, too.
Yeah, I know you do eat healthy. I know you're
definitely and the most women. Although Josh knows I haven't been doing too well lately, but it's okay.
So Rudy's the Brad Pitt of the gaming world, or the George Clooney or whatever, right?
I'm like the Ron Jeremy before Ron Jeremy got fat. No offense if he's listening, he is my friend and I do know him personally. And no, I've never actually done anything for him personally. Just so you know, I know you guys want to twist that stuff.
Rudy, your calls are always exciting. I wish you would have been on when Mike Sroka was here. I'm sure he would have had a question or two, but Rockstar Mike Sroka is not here yet. He's still running a little late. But Rudy, you got a minute, man. Is there anything else? I think you've dropped your fair share of bombshells already. I have a feeling a lot of our future callers are going to be about what Rudy Ferretti said.
I just want everybody to know that their little London bridges are coming down. Everything's being exposed about what they did wrong. I've got documents, and even though that little JC has threatened me with legal action, what I'm going to do, and I hope Jace is listening, I'm going to speak of the documents. I have talked to an attorney. I could speak of whatever I want. In fact, I could actually even type out what I have read. It's just like walking into a store. I cannot copy his documents and post them all over the internet, but what I can do is I can speak on anything I want. He doesn't own rights to words, letters, numbers, or periods or commas. I can do whatever I like. So when the time comes, there will be something done with that. And there'll be something else coming along, too, that I can't mention right now. But there's a lot of things in the works. I'm not Patrick. I tell you something, it will happen eventually, whatever it may be. So I know people are going to say, oh, he's just talking. I'm not just talking. Things are coming. But the best thing of all is to see all of you cheaters, liars, losers, and people think that you are people of God and Holy Spirit and everything. You're all going down, and I'm so glad to see it. God works in mysterious ways. You're all evil people. You're all going to get yours.
Rudy, Adam and I, the two hosts of this show, we agree on very few things politically, but freedom of speech is one of them. And you, sir, have certainly exercised your First Amendment right here tonight on the XCast. Rudy, thanks for calling, man. Appreciate it.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I couldn't go a little faster.
Oh, you did quite fine, Rudy. Thanks, man.
All right.
Thanks, Rudy.
Thank you. All right.
That was Rudy J. Ferretti, ladies and gentlemen. The one, the only. There is only one Rudy J. Ferretti. Thank God. But
look,
hey,
I think I hear the Rockstar coming.
Yeah, Mike Sroka.
He's probably waiting for Rudy to get off the line. Yeah, come on in, Mike. We have had this person calling in. I don't know who this is. It's an unknown number. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Josh, it's Phil Day.
Phil Day.
Oh, there's Phil.
From
Okay.
Australia. Mr. Day, you're on with Josh. You're also on with Adam Hernandez. Very shortly, you will be on with Mike Sroka, who just showed up. He just wandered into the studio, but he's got to get.
Oh, he's throwing his Doritos.
He won't be able to hear you if you hear clanking. It's Sroka barreling into the room and throwing Doritos everywhere and Red Bulls. But Phil, good to hear from you, man.
Yeah.
We're talking with Galaga champion. Or former Galaga champion, Phil Day, who's going to be back here in the States in a little while.
Yeah, all the
Phil,
way from Australia.
Did you hear the last caller at all?
Yeah, I did actually. That was pretty wild.
Any comments on that?
Oh well, I mean, look, it's funny. I mean, just for I suppose anyone listening out there, when I took the world record back in 2009, I mean, I was living in Australia in a small town of 1,000 people, and the nearest big city was 100 kilometres away, which is about, I don't know, roughly 50 miles, I guess. And I was not a part of any subculture, and I certainly wasn't, sucking someone's dick or whatever that guy was saying to get a world record. Like I was a long way from, Ottumwa, Iowa, and I didn't know Billy Mitchell or Steve Wiebe or any of those.
No dicks for you to suck at the time.
Well, there's no, like you're talking, I mean, Australia has a population of about 30 million people, so the subculture of arcade classic video games from around the early 80s is pretty small, like it's not as if every bloke out there's playing Galaga or Pac-Man or something. So there's just no, and to give the rundown of my story, like when I submitted a videotape for the third high score just to make sure that my tape was good, my recorder was working, and they accepted it. Then I sent a second videotape for the second high score, and they accepted it. And when I sent my first world record score on the same video recorder, the same sort of cassette tape, it was transferred to a CD. And anyway, it was disqualified because they realised that the CD, not the tape, but the CD, the pixel count was too low. Now, that's their ruling. I don't think anyone was trying to block me. I don't think anything like that. So I just did the record again and then submitted it and they accepted it.
But you did have to face some adversity to get that record in, though. And that is worth noting, right?
What's that? Sorry?
But you did definitely have to face some adversity to get your initial record. Submitted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But it wasn't as if there was anyone trying to keep me out because they didn't know who I was or anything. It was the reverse. Like when I got the record, Andrew just said, Phil's a straight up guy. If he says he got the record, he got the record. That was it. And I'd only ever sort of had very little contact with Andrew Laidlaw when I got the second high score with just a congratulatory remark saying, keep going, you'll get there kind of thing. So anyway, I never thought outside of the Twin Galaxies world where people were trying to, I don't know, rob people of, or I don't know. Like I certainly didn't see it, and I certainly wasn't. I certainly was an outsider. Like I wasn't connected in any way to what that the previous caller was talking about. Like I didn't really understand what I understood his complaints, but I'm not sure where they were coming from. It was pretty wild, and I've never seen his face. I don't know if any of that's true at all. Whether he's the most handsome man in the video gaming world or whatever. Like.
He has done some acting work. He has done some acting work over in California.
Hey, look, he could well be the best video gamer in the world. But I mean, I could also be the tallest video gamer in the video game world. But I don't. Yeah, but I don't know if that means anything regarding video games. I don't know what it's got to do with.
There definitely is a height thing going on with Galaga champions because you and Andrew Laidlaw are both like 1.5 feet taller than me.
Yeah, Andrew's pretty tall. Steve Wiebe's quite tall, actually. Not that he plays Gallagher, but
so is Bill Mitchell.
And Billy Mitchell's quite tall. So yeah, maybe it's got something to do with long fingers. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, so I did hear what he had to say, but I'm not sure if. I mean, I'm not a like.
Phil, you're on with Mike Sroka now as well.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Fine, Phil.
Hello.
How are you, Phil? How's that Galaga treating you?
Listen, Phil, you. I know that you met I know that you have met Bill Mitchell and Todd Rogers because I met you and Bill Mitchell and Todd Rogers all on the exact same weekend. Do you have any comments you want to make about them, about their character, about their lack of character, about anything else? I do. You don't have to, but do you have any comments to make in regards to that?
Well, I mean, like Josh and Mick, I met Todd and Billy on the same weekend. I'm pretty sure it was probably on the same day. It was certainly the same night we bumped into Todd, and we in the motel we were staying at.
Mhm.
And I mean, I met probably Todd on maybe over that weekend, and I might have met him once again later. I can't remember, but I remember meeting Billy Mitchell again with Josh and Mick, and also Nick Houselander. We went over to the first Kong off, and Billy was there, and we spoke to him a bit there as well. And I've spoken to him a couple of times on the phone, but whenever I speak to Billy, it's usually relating games. I don't really know him as a person outside of that. I know he has these Ricky's restaurants or whatever and has his hot sauce, but I don't really know much about his family life, and I know he lives in Florida, and that's about it. So I don't really know him as such. But as far as and regarding Todd, I don't really know him either. And the games he plays, I don't even know them. They're on old Atari, Activision games and stuff. I've never played Dragster or Barnstormer or whatever it was called. I wouldn't know anything about that game. And I'm not a big fan of Donkey Kong, to be honest. I don't mind saying this. I find it quite a boring game. I never liked it when I was a kid, and I really think the first stage is interesting. Downhill from there. I'm not a big Donkey Kong fan. So, but having seen those guys play, I'm not Todd. I've never really seen him play, but seeing Billy play, I don't doubt that he has a skill set like at the Kong off. He certainly can put big points up, but I'm sure he'd be the first to admit that he's a long way from the top players now, just as Steve Wiebe is and even Hank Chan is. But I don't think that he can't play Donkey Kong. But as for anything else going on in his life, I don't really know much about him. I don't know if that helps at all regarding
Phil,
I view him. But
Phil, I'm going to ask. We only got a couple minutes, Phil. But yep. I'm going to ask you, I really appreciate the call. I know it's probably, what time is it there? Around noon or something in Australia?
Oh, it's about nearly 2:00 in the afternoon. Okay. Yeah, quarter to, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna do the same thing I did to Bill Mitchell to you. Do you have anything to say about any of the following people?
Way to piss people
Rudy
off.
J. Ferretti, Patrick Scott Patterson, Catherine DeSpira. Any comments about any of those?
Was Rudy the guy who just was on the phone? Was that him?
Yes, that was Rudy who was on the phone.
He's certainly entertaining, but I don't think I've ever met him. I don't know what's his claim to fame or infamy.
Lots of records. Lots of records. I'm sure they're games you don't.
999,000 points.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't know them.
Yeah, he is the Home Alone champion, the Splatterhouse champion. Dozens of other ones. But
the Jacket
games that most people don't play. I guess I don't know. I've never heard of them. And who was the last name in that group of three?
Catherine DeSpira. She's not a fan of ours. No, I don't think you know her, but I have a feeling you do know one Patrick Scott Patterson. I know he's not listening tonight because I spoke with him earlier and he said he'd never heard of the show, so I know he's not listening.
Oh, okay. Well, I met Patrick Scott Patterson a few times, and I found. I didn't really get to know him, but I felt that he had a certain interest that surrounded video games rather than the way I saw it was rather than just the games themselves. The people I met who I like, the obvious ones that we know, like Steve Wiebe, Andrew Laidlaw, Eric Aikson, I found that these guys genuinely just liked playing video games and putting up big scores. Whereas I felt that there was another culture with some players that surrounded playing those video games, which was some fairly mediocre attempt to gain some sort of celebrity in some very small subculture, and I didn't find that very appealing at all. And that when we were, got to know each other, I tended to steer away from that sort of behaviour. I just really wanted to talk to people who are enthusiastic about games, not enthusiastic about having their face in front of a camera.
Cool people like me and Mick, right?
Exactly. Cool dudes like you guys. I was attracted to the and for the same reasons I'll be back in the States at the end of next month. I'm looking forward to seeing some people put up some big scores, and maybe take down some world records. I don't see myself being in that category.
Plug that event real quick for us, Phil. Real quick, plug that event.
Oh, sorry. I didn't really mean to. It's in Santa Fe. It's called Score Wars. It's over the Easter weekend. It's a $10,000 prize money. It's the first international Galaga tournament, and they're flying in a bunch of players. A few people are pre-qualified, and there's a new player out there by the name of Armando Gonzalez from LA, who has no official scores, but he's been getting apparently monster scores on Galaga. So it'll be pretty exciting to see him play, and I suspect he's probably, a top contender to win and probably take a world record, maybe even on Stephen Krogman's old marathon score, which would be great to see replaced. Anyway, he sounds like somebody who's got really high skills in Galaga. But anyway, so yeah, it'll be that sort of environment just when it's about the games and it's just about meeting people and being, supportive of others who want to get better at games and congratulating people who do really well. I think that's really why most people probably got into gaming to begin with, because they found it fun. And then in and around the Twin Galaxies, or not Twin Galaxies, but in and around that subculture and the concerns surrounding scores on scoreboards, it's sort of getting away from the fun a bit, I feel. It's a bit unfortunate, but I suppose to be fair to those, I know Michael has world record scores, and if you've put them up there and they're, you've played to put them up there, you don't, you want to see them not be taken by phony scores, or I can see where that protection comes from, like why people wouldn't want to see people cheating, but to sort of smear someone like the previous caller saying that all of you should die and go to hell or get cancer or whatever he said, something horrible, that's pretty wild. I think that's I think there's no evidence for. Yeah,
that was a bit
for everyone.
Much. It was a bit much. Phil, listen, thanks so much for calling in. We definitely want to do this again. I want to talk to you again in the future about lots of other things. Actually, I want to talk about you because Phil Day is an extremely interesting guy. We are going to go to the phone lines here though soon.
Just one quick note. If you do want to see Phil Day in person, make sure you guys go to scorewars.com for all the Galaga Championship event information.
Mike
you heard it here first. We do not have.
It's not Donkey. I heard there's not going to be a Donkey Kong machine on the premise.
So well, that's good.
It's a welcoming type of competition.
Phil, thank you so much for calling in, man. We'll talk to you soon, all right, buddy.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Okay, we are here, everybody.
You know what? One thing,
go jump in.
Phil Day's a good-looking guy.
He's a good.
I think he could rival Rudy in that.
Yeah, I think the dudes that have the group Bubble Bobble record, I think there's some good-looking cats on that crew too.
I think you guys are good-looking.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Me and Mike, and our cousin Ed, who is
your son.
Yeah, my son.
Your son.
He's
that's about it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to proclaim that I'm the best-looking gamer around, but. Nah, never mind. I won't do it. No, I mean, how can I compete with the likes of those two callers of Rudy J. Ferretti and Phil Day? But yeah, Ed Zaharsky, though, my cousin, our anchor,
Paris Hilton of video games.
Yeah, the Paris Hilton of video games. Absolutely, he's famous. Why? He's famous for being famous. That's why.
He is also the Mario Kart Wii World Champion.
He is.
He was also at that Big Bang event, and that's where he set a world record on Luigi's. I don't know.
Yeah, and several Bubble Bobble records as well with us.
Yes.
So no, I mean,
I want to call that his claim to fame because he literally showed up. He never played the game, and he got the lowest time, and it still has not been beat to this day.
That is impressive. I mean, if you like Ed Zaharsky, you can hear him right here on the Deep Issues show on the EmpireMedia.com, where he talks about conspiracies and fun stuff like that all the time. Spiritual, fun things.
What nights?
Very cool. Tuesday nights, the second and fifth Tuesday of every month.
So I missed them today.
Right here on the EmpireMedia.com.
I will say Galaga's my favorite old school video game.
Galaga's a great game.
It's a good game.
Yeah, no, it's a great game.
It's the best one.
Mike
I'll take that
and Adam, Phil brought up a good point.
What's that?
Do you guys remember when video games used to be fun?
They're still fun. See, that's the problem. They are still fun.
That's a problem that they're still fun?
That's not a problem. It's the problem is people are allowing them not to be fun.
Okay, because it seems like there's a lot of people who aren't thinking about fun when it comes to video games.
No, that's just the competitive nature.
Well, is it though? Because you make a good point, Mike. That is true. I mean, if you're going to compete in something, if you're going to do something, then you might as well do it well. But something that I think is kind of maybe worth noting, and by the way, the phone lines are open, 734-335
Not my
1835. That number again is 734-335-1835. They are open to anyone that wants to call in. You know, I have a lot of friends that don't agree with me on a lot of things. And I feel like I have friends that disagree with me, for instance, politically or religiously on a lot of things, and I still remain friends with them. And the argument could be made that those things are really important, right? I mean, your political views, if you hold your political views close to you, you believe that really is best for the country or best for the world or worse for the country. Or
Well,
worse
yeah,
for the world.
I understand that. Yeah.
And that's really important. But if you can put it past that and still remain friends with somebody who you disagree with politically, why can't you remain friends with someone that you disagree with about video games?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and that's my only point here. I'm not asking everyone to
See,
agree.
when it comes to this, Josh, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of back around 2000. Huey Lewis and the News were trying to make a comeback.
Right.
All right, and they came out with a song. It's actually kind of catchy. We definitely can't play it. But when situations come up like this, like political debates, video game debates, even religion, and you're friends with people and you love them and you have a good camaraderie and, you know, you might not see each other for 5 or 6 years. Sure. Things happen. You know, I always refer back to the 100 Years From Now by Huey Lewis.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys at home know about that, but
Nope.
I'll just read some of the lyrics for you.
Okay, do that.
I'll sing it. Even though we
Why don't
might
you read it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better that way. Even though we may be having a few doubts, that's kind of funny what we're talking about tonight. Let's try to make the time to work things out. The little things we fuss and fight about ain't gonna matter 100 years from now.
I like it, Mike.
Huey
I like
Lewis.
it. You know, and there's something that
1996. I'm sorry.
Adam and I were talking off air beforehand, and listen, you know, how many times, if you're a sports fan, very good, Mike. I like it that you brought that up. But
It's so weird not being the host.
If you're a sports fan, how many times have you got angry at somebody else debating sports?
I got angry at you a few weeks ago when you said Michael Jordan could beat LeBron James right now.
I could.
Which that was one of the dumbest things
I just can't get angry at sports.
Well, I try not to too.
I mean, I disagree,
but we've all done it at some point in our life, and it's silly. You shouldn't.
Well, I guess
I'm
you're
guilty
right.
of it.
Paul Coffey was definitely better than Ray Borg.
Mike, I've seen you get angry at people about.
He got angry about that. He said we're the worst show ever because of that comment.
That's true. So
here I am.
So this is what I'm saying, that we've all done it. So just because you're guilty of it in the past doesn't mean that you always have to be guilty of it in the future. So if you disagree with somebody, you can disagree with somebody. I try to pride myself on being friends with a lot of people in the competitive gaming subculture that, quite frankly, they're not friends with each other. And I hope people don't hold that against me, but sometimes they do. And I've been scorned in the past for being guilty by association. People have disliked me for being friends with Mike Sroka. People have disliked me because I did a show with Rudy Ferretti. People have disliked me for a lot of different reasons over the years. And
maybe it's just you.
Maybe it is, but I don't really think so. Maybe they do. I welcome those people if they just dislike me just for being me. But
Spite's a great thing.
But, you know, I mean, we should lay down some stuff here. Some people kind of know this stuff to some degree, but listen, Mike and I, we haven't always agreed on things in video gaming. Adam and I haven't always agreed on things on our show that we do every week. But, I mean, so you guys know, even when we're disagreeing, like, we all, like, stood up in each other's weddings and have, like, known each other for, you know.
Actually, you weren't invited to my wedding.
I wasn't invited to Adam's wedding. It's true. It's true. I was I was not invited to Adam's wedding, but yet I was the designated driver for his bachelor party. I don't know how I got that.
Were you?
Yeah.
No, Adam was.
Adam and I both were.
Oh.
Because Adam doesn't drink, but yeah, it was 2 carloads.
Yeah, I drank.
I had a good time. Adam, that's like one of the best bachelor parties.
Yeah,
That we threw for you.
and yeah, Mike was hammered,
Ah,
and
What
Like I
happened at
care.
Adam's bachelor party stays at Adam's bachelor
Yeah.
party. But Mike, yeah, it is true. Mike was stood up in Adam's wedding, and what I meant to say is that Mike stood up in both of our weddings. It's true. Adam didn't invite me to his wedding.
fine.
You can only have so many people stand up.
Right. Exactly.
If anything, it was doing you a favor. You didn't have to pay out for a damn.
Right.
tuxedo.
If you
That's
want
right.
if you want another little
really thought
tidbit
about
about Mike and I's relationship and how far back we go, Mike's wife was the maid of honor in both of my weddings.
Ooh.
that's talent, man.
Yeah. That's.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Jesus. Mike is.
come on! I like the Foley noise.
Mike is right now making a point because he is not the host of the show. He is making a point to do all the things he criticizes other people for doing on his
For
show.
9 years.
He's opening bags of chips and then chewing Doritos into the microphone. So thanks, Mike. We appreciate it. Thanks for sabotaging.
I do this regularly.
And
now
just
in
because your show
Discord.
got canceled doesn't.
Oh,
It's true.
wait, it's not canceled. It's still
No, it is
still
not
on.
canceled. Where can
It's
they?
not funded.
We'll just say
I watched it the other day
Yeah,
I saw it, Mike. It
Where
was
can they
good.
find you Unsettled on the Screen?
on Twitch.
You can find Settle It on the Screen on twitch.tv/Settle It on the Screen. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Especially if you have Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
It's free then. You can do it every month. We get $2.50. Amazon gets $2.50. Nothing extra comes out of your wallet, so just do it. It's a good show.
Sometimes.
I want is now. Are you guys on every week again?
No,
Mike. Or
right now we're still kind of in a, I guess a regression period. Self-doubting period. I want to call it.
Oh, kind
What
of
what are we gonna do?
a bitter period.
I think the bitterness period is over.
Is that over with?
But it's how we want to proceed.
Are you still doing? You're still doing world records on there, right?
Yes and no. It's gonna be
It's not as much.
obviously not as much, and since we're not on 5 nights a week, we're not stretching to find some of the world records. We'll just say this, nothing against them, but I'm gonna be singing Angry Bird World Records level 252 announcing. It will be a little lopsided, where it's the world records that we believe need to get the attention. Where before we credited almost any world record at that point. Not saying that somebody's world record is not important. It's just we wanted to talk about the most competitive ones at that point, and I think we only read about 5 or 6.
But you
So,
were doing Settle on the Screen before Twin Galaxies.
before. Well, it's always been about Twin Galaxies, but everybody's probably wondering. Well, before Twin Galaxies, before last year, it's always been a volunteer marriage with Twin Galaxies, and technically, if we want to get down to it, we can't talk about certain things on the show, but technically, Twin Galaxies did not actually fund our show. There was another source that's friends with Twin Galaxies indirectly that kept our show on the air 5 nights a week, 1 hour
Do you?
full television.
I know it sucks that you're not getting funded right now for this show. But is there any benefits to not necessarily being associated with Twin Galaxies? Do you have more freedom in what you can do, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, part of the reason why I do want to say maybe our show sucked last year is our frequency, not required by Twin Galaxies, but by somebody else, was 5 nights a week, live, 1 hour straight, no commercials. When you have, and it's supposed to be centralized around Twin Galaxies, there's only so much you can talk about. Now, if it was this year, oh man, we have plenty of stuff to talk about with all the news and events that are going on. But Twin Galaxies really wasn't growing at the rate that really gave us enough information for an hour podcast every night. I mean, you got to be realistic when it comes to that. And granted, our show was also growing the user group, or people going to the website, and it did help us, but it also kind of hindered us in a way too. I mean, who's going to watch a late night show? No, none of you guys watch a late night show every 5 nights a week, do you? Do you guys watch Jimmy Fallon or anybody like that? It's something that is something that you come to, you get entertained, you get somewhat informed, and then you're back to regular life.
So is that why you thought the show sucked? because you had to be on 5 nights a week and you were struggling in some sense for content, or were there other reasons?
Obviously,
why
if
you
there's
weren't
more
happy with it?
funding, we would make more entertainment comment or more competitions. We started doing that on a regular basis, but then there's only so much funding, so much time. Not that I wasn't grateful for the funding. There's only so much you can do. And if we would have got to that second season, the amount of contests and head-to-head gaming, we would say esports of retro gaming, we were definitely going to explore. But once again, retro gaming is only going to get you so far.
Well, that's
with advertising
and that's
stuff like that.
and that's a conversation we've had before. I know we've had that conversation, Josh, the first time that we had Rudy on XCast. And it's always been my position that if you wanted to indulge yourself in esports, if you ever wanted to go that route, you couldn't do it playing Mario Brothers or Contra or whatever, or Pac-Man. You had to go and you had to play Counter-Strike or some of those newer games.
You can't be playing. Well, you could be playing some maybe. Well, look at Donkey Kong here. We're sitting here. You guys were talking about that before I got here.
Yes.
There's certain games that will still get that draw. I mean, Robbie Lakeman had quite a few viewers when it came to his stuff, and if he was he wasn't trying to be entertaining, but some people are entertaining while they're trying to get some high scores or some type of achievement. It can be, but it does need to be a certain selective games that either everybody has a memory of, or there's something about the game that makes it the game. It's not going to be what's the game that I play? Dick Tracy for Sega Genesis. I'm sorry. No matter how much, it is a good game, but it's not a popular game. It's not a memorable game. That's not going to bring in viewers no matter how good I am. The only way I'm going to get viewers on Dick Tracy for Genesis if I am entertaining as... I don't know. Can we swear in this show?
Yeah, say fuck. Fuck, shit, damn.
I don't want to go too far, but
Dick,
if I'm entertaining as fuck,
Mm-hmm.
well, then people will watch me. But they're not watching me for the Dick Tracy. They're watching me for the entertainment part. That's kind of the
But to steal something
weird part.
And Phil just mentioned $10,000 purse for the
Galaga
tournament he's about to play in. So
Yeah, and I was in a retro tournament this weekend for NHL '94. Josh wouldn't bless the thing. They gave away 10. Excuse me. Gave away 10 grand. There's still money in it. No, there's not the Dota money or Counter-Strike or Rocket League money.
But is that kind of the end game with all of this, though? Is, going on to TBS or something? And
who, me, for the show?
Well, not necessarily you, but maybe
The
esports,
broadcasters?
competitive gaming in general.
I don't know. It's just a different form of entertainment. I mean,
you got to be good at what you're good at too. I mean, just because, for instance, you got guys being watched right now in the Olympics for downhill skiing.
Yeah.
Now you could go to these athletes, and they're great athletes, and say, "Listen, you're great at downhill skiing. If you want to make some money, you're gonna have to play basketball, though." They're gonna say, "Well, I don't play basketball.
There's only so much supply and demand."
I'm a skier. I don't play basketball. I can't just all of a sudden switch because there's more. So yeah, for those guys who are killing it on,
for example, there's more demand right now for Fortnite, for Counter-Strike, for I think it's Fortnite. So and then when you look at the classic, obviously Donkey Kong is still, in terms of an arcade game, more popular than Popeye or something. It's gonna get more draw. And like for me, NHL '94. Oh yeah, there's no draw to NHL '95, right? It was a bad game, so it's
NHL '95 sucked.
It was terrible. So there's always, it's still about the game, the creation, just like with other types of media. People obsess about certain movies and TV shows, and even if they might be prequels and sequels, I guess what it still revolves around. It still revolves around that main core idea.
So what about for you as the host of Settle It on the Screen? What do you want to get back to? Do you want to get back to a platform like Twin Galaxies, or do you want to kind of build up on your own?
Well, I guess the major driving force behind Twin Galaxies originally, the fact of the matter is, I had to say that at least once, is I wanted to show that Walter produced the Twin Galaxies podcast. I wanted to listen to something like that.
Show.
And I wanted that to continue. And also, my little side idea was Twin Galaxies could make me and Josh's and Nick and our friends, our video game championship could be some type of reality.
VGC.
The video game championship. Not just one video game, multiple video games, multiple systems, generations and all that mumbo jumbo. So that's kind of how it started. And over the time, grew in love with the scoreboard, how important it was to people, realizing how important it was in some people's lives and how it actually uplifted them. I understand that our show actually encouraged somebody to make an engagement to his girlfriend, and now they are married.
Aw, poor
So
guy.
well, he's happily married, man. We've done lots of things,
It wasn't Josh, was it?
No, of course
not
not.
happily
He said
married.
happily. We said he's still happily
Well,
married.
still happily married.
So stuff like that just kept the show driving, and it's just an interest about video games, just like you guys do the show about sports and stuff like that. It's a passion, As from going forward, the main purpose why Twin Galaxies kept going and why maybe we did settle it on the screen is so that's like, for example, me and Josh did settle on the screen episode 1. That was my way of saying whoever owns Twin Galaxies needs to step aside. And I believe that episode possibly started the gates for Jace Hall somehow getting in. I'm not saying that he came in right away watching our show. I don't even know if he watched that show or not. But I think that was the catalyst for someone in to save Twin Galaxies from Walter Day, Pete Bouvier, Jordan Adler, and Richie, people who didn't have the technical knowledge or the resources, we'll say. I'm not saying that some of them couldn't do. Everybody had some absentees, and it's moved on to somebody who can at least take care of it for now. I'm not saying that things are definitely not perfect, but at least things are moving in the right direction of what a scoreboard should be. Maybe what I'm not saying. Remember, Walter he was just given a scoreboard. Sure. He called Williams to say, "Hey, what's the highest score?" And they're like, "I don't know. Why don't you keep tracking it?" It's not like Walter came up with this great big idea of, "I'm going to track video game world records," So, but what everybody wants Twin Galaxies to be is one central location, not the internet, a book or an organization where you can trust with real names of who is actually the best. Just like we have statisticians, Guinness. I mean, who does it for sport? Who does it for baseball? Is it Major League Baseball who does the stats? Or
I know Stats.
Stats is a company.
Stats is a company that keeps track of a lot of that stuff.
And stuff.
I don't know who it is specifically for baseball. But
I think it's been Major League Baseball for the last 100+ years.
They might subcontract
And
it
now it's
now
subcontracted
for
to-
stuff to
to
more
other
technological companies, and that's the
they
idea.
just sold their digital arm to Disney, though.
But I'm not saying for profit reasons, for just the general knowledge of who is the highest score and where do I rank, because we know, especially now, we're talking about Twin Galaxies back then. Well, of course, nobody knew. It was just a high score on the machine. But now you have leaderboards online. You're like, oh, this is the best person. Those online leaderboards are hacked to you be non-believers. Not all of them, but some of them are. So there's always some type of need for leaderboard, whether it's at Twin Galaxies, at speedrun.com, wherever it is.
The question I had from that whole exchange is, if Disney owns the rights to the stats,
They don't own not the stats. They own the baseball sold like their digital like
Okay.
video.
does that mean like Honus Wagner is no longer canon? Like, is Babe Ruth still canon? Has he been retconned? Like they probably retconned like Ruth.
well,
and
he's
Hank
legend.
Aaron.
He's legend.
Oh,
now.
he's legend.
He's a legend.
Okay.
now, so.
Okay, all right. So.
Mike, you're mentioning something about scoreboard, and obviously scoreboard right now seems to be one of the biggest things, one of the biggest controversies, right? With video games, whether you're talking about Billy Mitchell or Todd Rogers.
It's home for us.
Is it? And I know this is something before you came in tonight, that Josh and I were discussing. Now, when it comes to the old way, and you said there's very real problems with the new way of having it be online and having it be hacked and so on and so forth, right?
Well, I'm not gonna say the Twin Galaxies scoreboard's been lacked, but let's just say one game on PlayStation 4.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But as far as the old way goes, and now you didn't have to have a video to have a world record, right? You could be verified.
In the very early days.
It could be verified by referee.
Correct.
Was Billy Mitchell's score, the one that is being scrutinized right now, was that verified by referee?
The 10.6, 10.06.
I don't know. Josh,
There's so many that I don't want to misspeak on. Well, they might have all been referee. Like I said, I'm not as...
Yeah, the score that was introduced at the Big Bang.
Okay, yeah. So for that time, yes, it was allowable by referee. Todd Rogers and Morning Dove were considered referees, and they can go into debate if they actually were referees. I ain't going to go into that, obviously, but that's how the score was validated to be put in the database.
So what is if that's the case, then why is there so much scrutiny then regarding that? I mean, if it was put in by referee, if it was validated by referee, if people are having a problem with that, shouldn't they be having a problem with basically all of those scores put in during that time?
Mm-hmm. I mean, what the idea behind the dispute system, or let's just say, not the dispute system, just anything in general with the internet and the amount of information that is shared with people going over time, playing these games, playing them in MAME, playing them with tool-assisted runs. Mm-hmm. There's so much more information people are finding out about a game, that there's so much more knowledge that when people put the logic together, obviously the 1.062 logically can happen now, but with all the technology, people can actually research if, based on evidence, will say that if a score exists or it doesn't exist. For example, we'll use the easy one that's already been removed or corrected from Twin Galaxies is the Robotron score. There's this Robotron score that people argued about for years and years and years, and of course it was incorrect because the last digit didn't match up, because in Robotron you only can have a 5 or a 0 as your last digit. So obviously it's not a correct score. Now, was it close? Was it a typo? Mm-hmm. That's what is being researched. And I guess why all this has come about on the Twin Galaxies side is because the new ownership is open to hear people's logical evidence, where old Twin Galaxies, and this is where a problem, corruption and collusion, as Rudy would say, people were hushed back in the old days. They were. As much as he came in here tonight, from my personal experience, Rudy got hushed. I asked for, Rudy had a score, was it Nightmare on Elm Street? I can't remember. Him and somebody else.
He has that record.
Yeah, he has a record, or he's second place on the leaderboard. He's the second person.
Was it him and somebody else?
It's him, and he thinks it's him and some made up person, which I don't know to this day if this person's real or not.
There's only 2 people in the world that ever played Nightmare?
Once again, yes, it's a game that only 2 people are playing. But I was trying to research some scores. Oh, come on, just let me get through it.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, Adam. We're taking the caller, Mike.
I think this might.
Okay, caller, you're on the XCast with Josh Alexander, Mike Sroka, and Adam Hernandez.
Research, and I guess.
Caller, are you with us?
Hello?
Yes, I am. Hello, how are you?
Is this Joel West?
It is. How are you, sir?
I thought that was a North Carolina accent. How are you, Joel?
Fine. I appreciate you letting us call in tonight.
Oh, for sure. Anytime. Like I said, you're on with me, Josh Alexander, you're on with Adam Hernandez, and you're on with Mike Sroka. What's on your mind?
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Joel.
Well, I was just listening to the show and enjoying it, and I appreciate the fact that Michael finally made it there. I mean, I know it was rough out there, but I'm glad he made it.
It's rough.
Downtown
Farmington Hills is not downtown Farmington Hills.
The roads here in the Detroit area are legitimately in a state of emergency right now. They're so bad.
They did pass a bill, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
$175 million? Yeah.
That is true. The roads here
You probably have a state of emergency with a foot of snow on the roads. We have a state of emergency down here with an inch on the road.
Yeah,
so,
true. Very true.
But I enjoyed the show, and you had. It's hard to follow the last caller that you had. The first caller, well, it's not too hard to follow, but the last caller you had, Phil Day, he was a great caller. I look forward to hopefully seeing him again soon. Nice guy.
He's a good guy. Was Rudy Ferretti's? Was that a little quick?
Is that who that was?
That was Rudy Machine Gun Ferretti. Yes.
Oh, I know it was some guy who said he was an actor. I really don't know who it was. I know that when I'm in a movie, and I've been in a few, I play myself, so I don't have to act. I don't have to play somebody else. So anyway, Anyway, that's good. That's good that you have a diversity of callers here. I could say you've gone from one end to the other tonight. But the reason I'm calling in is just to touch base. I want to thank you guys for allowing Billy to. I know you said you received some flack from having Billy on before, and but the fact is that Billy needed to be able to talk pretty much unobstructed to explain his events of what happened that day in the Boomers arcade. A lot of people have been very impatient, thinking that we should come out, the very next day once we found out about it and tell everything. And people won't listen to that. They want facts. People don't want your solemn word. As Michael was talking about the ways of verification in the past, it used to be a photograph or a couple of letters from an arcade owner or things of that nature back in the very beginning. You have to remember that video cameras weren't prevalent at all. They were well over $1,000, sometimes even $1,500 back in those days. People didn't have them. I remember one score that I got, which I long surpassed. I had to have the arcade owner over watching me play, and which was nerve-wracking because he was a very talkative chain smoker, and smoke was getting in my eyes, and I was playing the game and what have you, and he had to write a letter to Walter Day. And so, it gradually progressed as technology was made available to the public. I think the video system is a good system. Some people want to lock down the old arcade scores from the past and not let anybody do them unless they compete in an arcade setting somewhere certain times a year. But you just can't get the creative juices flowing on demand like that. It has happened. I've set a couple of world records at a couple of events, but it doesn't always happen that way. And so I think the video system is a very fair system if all the aspects of the video is followed precisely. So, I'm very appreciative of the way it's evolved. I'm not happy with the situation, of course, with some of the old guard being targeted. There's a lot of communication back and forth. And basically what this is boiled down to is it's the old guard is being attacked by the new guard. People are wanting to target, of course, Billy and Todd, and there are a list of other names that people want to go after. There's even one comment out there that when I marathoned Berserk, that I was doping. And that's a very interesting comment because, Josh, as you know, I've never marathoned Berserk. No Berserk game has ever gone over 4 hours or so.
Right, yeah, Berserk's not really a marathon game, right? Frenzy, perhaps.
No. Frenzy, exactly. But if they don't know what they're talking about, how can they accuse someone of something? And since they had no blood of me before, during, or after the game, how can they accuse me of doping? Plus, if you remember, it's a very well-known fact that I fast 8 days before I do a marathon so that I get that natural euphoric rush on day 9 and 10. Because with Frenzy, you can't go to the bathroom. You really can't. When I got the record back in 2011, I went on a 42-hour game. It was hour 41 before I went to the bathroom.
That's insane.
Basically, I knew I had it in the bag, and I had been wanting to go for about 20 hours.
You mean you had the game in the bag, not your refuse in the bag? Correct.
Right. I knew I had the game won. So, but anyway, back in that day, I wanted to also call and tell Michael. I guess I had felt kind of bad toward Michael for a number of years because when he was in his tenure, 28 days as the chief ref of Twin Galaxies, he did something. He locked, or is that the right word, Michael? Locked a post that I was trying to take a poll on.
Yeah, and actually it was great that you called him kind of when you did. I'll get back to the other story, but those are the two things with the 28 days that I had to deal with. was the thing you're going to talk about, and Rudy Ferretti's dispute, and how within those 28 days, I couldn't do, even if I did make a decision, I couldn't actually actively make it. So that's why I stepped down. For those of you guys watching, like, what the heck did you step down in 28 days? Because I actually wasn't the head ref. My decisions had no weight, so you can't even call me that. But go ahead, Joel.
You were the figurehead ref, and someone else was the head ref. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Pete Bouvier was the only one approving or doing anything for that short period of time.
Well, what I was alluding to here, Michael, was we got this straightened out last week on a chat session on Facebook, and I appreciate your honesty and your coming forth and saying what you did. So, see, people in the gaming community, if they talk, and they talk nicely, even if they have a little anger in their voice, they can eventually get along. And all this stuff with people trying to attack scores, I mean, you can't imagine the private emails and messages that I've received threatening me, telling me how horrible I am, and so forth. And actually dealing with you last week was a breath of fresh air, Michael. Billy also has received quite a few threatening messages, and his family's been targeted, interfered with, and this is video games. It's supposed to be what you guys said earlier.
Yeah.
Fun.
And I can verify that for sure about Bill Mitchell being personally attacked. But hey, I want to say, here we are on the XCast live. We got Mike Sroka. We got, when you know him as long as I have, you call him Mike. I know he likes to be called Michael, but not.
It doesn't matter.
I'm not calling him Michael.
Yeah, this is the XCast. We call him
Who
Mike.
Who would you call
here.
me? You just call me Sroka.
I call him
on
Sroka
on the baseball
Yeah,
field.
man.
You would call me Sroka.
He thinks
or Sroka Mania.
Yeah,
Sroka Mania. That's right.
he thinks that he wants to be Michael now because he's a rock star.
He's
diva,
not Michael.
But his name.
Joel, if you want to call him Michael, that's
I'm
fine.
an
Yeah.
ex-rock star.
Okay.
But, hey, we got Mike
that's all I've
Sroka.
ever known him. That's all I've ever known him as. But I'll be happy to call him Mike if he prefers that, or MS if he wants me.
He
to.
doesn't
Whatever.
prefer it, but me and Adam prefer it. So we got Mike Sroka and we got Joel West live on the air, making amends, being nice to each other, brought to you by the XCast and the EmpireMedia.com. That's what we do here on the EmpireMedia.com. We fix things and we make things better.
You bring people together.
That's
We
right.
do
You
that.
bring people together.
That was the point. So if nothing else, then that is that. Joel, listen, you got about 40 to 67 seconds, somewhere in there. You got anything else you want to add?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I appreciate you guys being there, and you too, Mike. And this whole situation with Billy, especially, we're trying to make this a very legally sensible and video acceptable presentation. We're almost done, and we're going to get it out there and let everybody see it. I personally have seen Billy do over 1 million twice with my own eyes as I was at the site in person, because we traveled everywhere. We traveled across the country half a dozen times or more together. And so the younger people coming after the older people, our records were real. There's some video. There's plenty of newspaper. They're never going to be the first to do what we did. That's not an egotistical thing. They're never going to be the first, but they can be great in what they do, but tearing other people down is not going to make them great. Unfortunately, Jace Hall is a very nice guy. Not unfortunately on that. He's a very nice guy, but he has, I think, made a very big blunder business-wise in opening this system up to the type of dispute. Guinness used to do a dispute system, but they did it privately before it was revealed. Twin Galaxies made it public from the start, and that's why Billy's getting all these attacks and threats, and why all this foaming and ill will is going on. This is tearing this community apart. Twin Galaxies will not be a viable nor in existence in a decade if this continues. And if the speedrun community thinks they're going to take over, they won't. They might enjoy their victory for a while if they bring down the old people and Twin Galaxies. But video gaming will be over if that's the case.
Joel,
we can all get along and appreciate if we try. But I'm sorry, I'm talked over my time.
Oh, that's okay. Joel, real quick. I'm holding you to basically a yes or no here. Do you think
all right.
do you think Twin Galaxies will exist in 5 years?
It's not a yes or no answer for me. It's a crossroads. If they get rid of this dispute system and maybe modify it better, yes. If they don't, if they leave it as it is and think that that's their business model and they got to stick with it, absolutely not.
Okay. Thanks for the honest answer. Joel, thanks so much for the call. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joel.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And see, what Joel says there about Twin Galaxy, I'm glad you said something will exist. Twin Galaxies...
Yeah, I'm glad you're jumping in too, Mike,
Yeah.
because my plan originally was to turn this
Yeah, okay.
exact same question
Twin
over to you.
Galaxies may not be Twin Galaxies. Speed Run might not be Speed Run. With the way information is and technology is, I don't care if Jace Hall quits tomorrow. Who knows the person who runs Speed Run? Let's say all the servers are hacked and there's no backup information. People will rebuild some type of scoreboard. It's called history. So there's always going to be asterisks. There's always going to be, let's say, see, here's the thing about Billy's score. When it comes to, I guess, Joel and Billy and all these people putting this effort into go against all this evidence that's coming up, like, I mean, like, I like Todd Rogers' approach to it. He never said anything. I mean, he didn't need to say, like, I gave Todd Rogers the benefit of the doubt on multiple stuff. On Dragster, I still give him benefit of the doubt. There's some other scores you could ask me honestly about, and I would just be like, logically, it's impossible. It's a typo. You should admit it. But when it comes to this Billy Mitchell, the Mitchell score, it doesn't really matter if Twin Galaxies at this point gets rid of it or not. When it comes to the light of competition, the reason why Donkey Kong Form existed is because Twin Galaxies was in shambles from 2012ish to 2014. There wasn't that online leaderboard for anybody to look at. So what did Donkey Kong Forum did? They took what was on Twin Galaxies, they scoured what was on the internet, and they created their own board, their own fan, if you want to call it fan community. And here's the deal. I wouldn't really care so much of if Billy's trying to defend himself against all these YouTubers and trying to present all this information to Twin Galaxies and worry about Twin Galaxies. I know Twin Galaxies is one of the first, and of course, I support it too, just like many of us do here. Maybe, I don't know your opinion Adam, on that. But if I'm going to try to make amends or prove my worth of these scores, these 3 scores, which in mind, Donkey Kong Forum did not remove his other scores. Those are the people that you need to be convincing. Twin Galaxies be nothing because Donkey Kong Forum is your fellow competitors. Those are those people on those websites. Those are the people's respect I would think Billy would want if the score means that much to him to keep fighting over. I mean, that's how I would feel. I mean, that's like when we talk about the NHL 94 community, people made fun of me with my world record.
Sure.
So what did I say? I say, well, then beat it. And they came along and they beat my score. And they well, it was tough at first, Mike, but then a couple months later. So it was respect. So when I get a record, I'm looking, I don't care if it's on Twin Galaxies.
Do you still have the record for NHL 94?
No, I'm third place.
You're third place,
Yeah.
okay.
If I want to try to rebeat that score, if Twin Galaxies doesn't exist, so what? But if I post that video or email it to my friends that I've met this weekend, NHL 94, that's kind of who I want to really prove it to, because then they have something to shoot for. Because that is the purpose of the scoreboard, is to give another reason to try to enjoy the game. For example, Twin Galaxies, the reason I got back into, let's say, some old video games is because I thought I could beat some of these scores. Sonic the Hedgehog I've beat 1,000,000 times. But I didn't really get interested in playing Sonic the Hedgehog until I found high scores, how to way to manipulate it, just like people did with Donkey Kong, how to get the double barrel
ceiling
triple
to shoot for, right?
Exactly. It added more value to a game by a leaderboard, a true leaderboard with specific rules in place. So that's the only thing that kind of gets me about all the backlash of back and forth. Like, now it's a big deal. It's a big deal when Donkey Kong Forum removed it because that's your peers who play the game have removed the score. You know that I mean that's shouldn't be so much a Twin Galaxies battle. It should be
Mike, those are some excellent points. It's also just that is kind of strange though that one's competitors would be put in charge of removing your score.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
There is that.
But then
that's a double-edged sword.
That is a double-edged sword. But then we'll go back to the old class of Twin Galaxies, where the argument is, well, all these people on the internet, they're not experts. They can't vote on these world records. Only the people who played the game can be referees. Well, if the only people who play referees can be the games, then you're obviously colluding already, because then the only people who can adjudicate it are the people who are competing. It goes back to that King of Kong thing with the tree.
Mike, don't you kind of see that? And I'm not trying to just trash on Twin Galaxies now when I say this. I'm really not.
No.
Because I do acknowledge that, hey, you know what? I'll be the first one to say, listen, some of the things Jace Hall did when he took over, I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very clear about that since the beginning. When I was connected with
you don't
Twin
like some
Galaxies,
of the changes he's made.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
When I was part of Twin Galaxies indirectly while working for Settled on the Screen, I did my best to toe the company line because I thought that was the right thing to do. When I left that show, and as Adam mentioned earlier, me leaving that show had nothing to do with any of this stuff, so please don't ever think that. And Mike,
it's not between me and Josh's disagreements on Twin Galaxies,
not at all,
no.
or with my disagreements about anything else. So please don't ever think that.
Wow.
But when I left that show, I did take a firmer stance, just the more honest stance, and say what my issues were with some of this stuff. Listen, I'll be the first one to say Jace Hall kept the lights on. And he brought it in, and the one thing I absolutely love that he has stuck with thus far is when he took over, he said Twin Galaxies is free and it always will be. I love that about him and what he said. So I will back that up. Do I like the community adjudication? No, I hate it. I do. I do. I hate it. Do I like the dispute system? No, I think I hate it even worse. But that's just my opinion. My problem with the community adjudication is, to me, the analogy I like to make when it comes to that is that would be like if we all watched the Super Bowl here in the United States. We watched the Patriots versus the Eagles. They played the game, and then all of us at home who watched the Super Bowl voted on who won the game. That's not how it works. I'm sorry,
that's not how it should work.
No, it's not.
And that's what opens it up to a bunch of politics and people who don't like each other. Okay, I don't like Mike, so I'm going to vote against his NHL '94 score.
And listen, let's pretend for a second that
Mike, I like you.
Let's pretend for a second that Adam likes Mike. No, let's pretend for a second that my crazy analogy is legit. Now, if that Super Bowl game happened, we all vote. Would there be people out there who were legitimate football fans who really did just vote on what team they thought won better? Yes, there would. There really would. There would be people out there who vote. But let's be honest. The Patriots fans would vote for the Patriots no matter what, and the Eagles fans would vote for the Eagles no matter what, and then there would be a whole bunch of Patriots haters that would vote for the Eagles because they're anybody with the Patriots, and there would be a whole bunch of Eagles haters who would vote for the Patriots just because. So it's putting in an underlying plan of bias. Now, bias exists, always. Every intelligent person has bias. So, this is where my problem stems from. But hey, did I get off my wallet and buy Twin Galaxies?
Now, see, this is why the dispute system was created, is for what you're saying. I agree with you. There could be bias, there could be issues, or there could literally be, that has happened before on Twin Galaxies, lazy adjudicators are unqualified people. It has happened. Scores after 2015 have been admitted, and I will say for myself that I submitted a score under the wrong ROM settings, etc., that got accepted, that once somebody brought some information to the table with actual knowledge, a lot of us went back, checked it, researched it, and what did I do? I voted to remove my own score because I was in the wrong. So that's kind of the purpose of that. I think that is the initial when people like target, like I disagree with Joel when it comes to the old people are getting targeted. It's not the people, it's the scores that are being targeted, in my opinion.
It doesn't seem like you need a dispute system for something like that, though.
Well, here's the problem with the Twin Galaxies dispute system and just people in general. There's some of us that can leave emotion out of it, and they can look at the logical. There's very few. Yeah. For example, we'll use our buddy Rudy. I'm guaranteeing Rudy cannot leave emotion out of it when he goes to a dispute thread. He's going to have strong emotions towards certain people, so he's going to vote a certain way regardless of how hard and how long he looks at the evidence.
Mike, you are preaching to the choir right now because
you know what?
You are one of the only people hearing this right now. Some people may have tuned into the show halfway through.
Good.
But there are
I didn't hear all his rant.
Yeah, Mike, you didn't hear Rudy for
I heard part of it, and then I was trying to find the house because it's impossible to find at the end of the night. But that was the initial intent for the dispute system. It really wasn't going back to get all the old scores or disprove them, I want to say. But he couldn't say, hey, you can't go back. If there's some type of logical reason why these scores shouldn't exist, you have to prove it. And for example, it's not a mob. Jace Hall and company are in charge of removing it. It doesn't mean if everybody votes yes that these scores are going to be removed.
No, that is true.
I'm sorry.
So there's still authority. Oh, is the chat funny?
William McAvoy wrote on one of the chats, Rudy can't leave emotion out of cleaning his toilet.
Rudy does keep a very clean toilet. I know.
Well, and this goes back to there was no dispute system.
William McAvoy, you should call in, by the way.
Yeah, just give me 5 seconds. Another thing is there really was no dispute system from 2008 up until Jace had it. There was no way to dispute any scores, and Rudy wanted to dispute a score on the admission of another score. And during that time, there was definite collusion because I asked for, can I have both videotapes, Rudy's score and the, as Rudy would call it, the made-up gamer. Mm-hmm. And we know that there's other referees and people working within Twin Galaxies at that time that had copies of those tapes that communicated with me as the head ref. And, of course, that information was not shared with a third party or even another ref, not just me, somebody else. And at that time, I didn't even know Rudy. Or, I learned of Rudy because of the dispute. Sure. And, now I can't dispute. I couldn't be an impartial judge with Rudy.
And there are some legitimately decent claims for some fake people.
Yeah. And so that was another reason that I stepped down because I couldn't get information from the people that were supposed to be considered referees.
Mike, there's something else that I was about to say that I want to talk about. This is actually not something I want to talk about, but perhaps we should.
Whether or not Rudy's the best
Weezer coming this summer?
I was going to say, was Rudy the best looking gamer? I forgot to ask Joel that. I wanted to ask Joel that.
We should have asked Joel that. That's a damn
can we do like a fire round at the end? Like people call in and they just say... They say no, or they rate them, or something like that.
By the way, just as a side note, I have gotten some messages mid-show where some people have had trouble getting through or have not been able to call because it's their international calls.
Hang on, I got a phone number for them. Give me about 2 minutes. Okay, they're gonna love this.
Okay, all right, that's great. Thank you, Mike. But there have been some people that have had trouble getting through because they're international callers. We know that's not impossible because Phil Day called from Australia, so we know that it can.
Well, we know,
but perhaps with a program you have.
Well, there's people trying to call in as well while we were on with Rudy and while we were on with Phil.
So they can try again.
And Joel.
So please try again if you want. And like I said, there were some people that
what's the number again?
The system didn't work because of the international. And right here on live TV, live radio, there isn't anything I can do.
Phone number 734-335-1835.
And if you're on hold and you just don't want to listen to our show because you don't want to cloud your thoughts, call 719-266 2837 and push number 4. You will love it.
Okay.
God.
Okay. So read that number for us one more time, Mike.
The phone number, if you're on hold,
This is not the call to
this is a phone number you can call after our show. Actually, I prefer you call it after, but if you're bored and you just need to call somebody during our show, somebody will pick up at 719-266-2837. And I would recommend, you could push 1 through 4, but I would recommend number 4.
Read it one more time.
It's not sick. It's not perverted. It's not what you think it is. It will actually put a smile on your face. That phone number again is 719-266-2837.
One
I
more
recommend
time.
number 4.
One more time.
Oh man, dude. Are you waiting for a call or is that
No, I just want you to say it so people can hear it.
719-266-2837. You know what I'm talking about, Josh?
I know exactly what you're talking
Okay, good.
Oh, we actually do have a caller. We do have a caller.
about. Caller, you are live on
Hold
the
on.
Okay.
Screening process first.
Yep, go ahead, caller. You're on.
Now, caller, you are live on the XCast with Josh Houselander, Adam Hernandez, and
Mike Sroka.
This is Data God. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Data God,
How's
also known
Antarctica?
as William McAvoy.
Also known as William McAvoy. Yes, that's me.
William, Bill, Data God, what do you prefer we call you?
I will still call you
Data God's
whatever.
good.
I'll call you by all 3.
Data God it is. What Data God, what can we do for you?
All right. As I was driving tonight, I heard that Mr. No Friends Freddy was trash talking me, and I just want to make a quick statement about Rudy. I was his best friend for about 3 years. We Skyped every day for an hour at least, right? So I know a lot of things about Rudy, and his trigger is not being relevant. He thinks that his little silly achievements, like, they're almost like wall jumps. I ran backwards for 2 hours. Oh, I played an easy game, a baby game, blah, blah, blah. He calls these all achievements, right? He has more achievements than anyone. He's the only gamer to travel 3,000 miles to prove that he's Fast Finger Freddy. Anyways, you call him No Friends Freddy because he has no friends. He likes trash talking me. The reality is he's a deadbeat loser, and he just is desperate to be relevant, and he's not, because he's not even that good a gamer. He just doesn't really play hard games. That's what it comes down to.
What was the Data God? What was the biggest? What was the falling out between you and Rudy? What came between you two? If you guys were good friends.
So I teased him too much, right? Mm-hmm. And I told him that there's a secret chat group that I have with about 15 people, and he goes, well, I want to be in on it. I go, well, you can't be in on it because all we do is make fun of you, right? So he believed that. There wasn't 15 people. There's like 4 of us. We just didn't want him in our group. So he freaked out. He demanded that I add him, and if I didn't add him, then he blocked me. So he blocked me on Facebook. And then on Twin Galaxies, he said some really nasty things about my mom, who recently had a stroke.
Sorry,
right?
about that.
And I just, thank you. And she had a full recovery though. But Rudy was basically wishing for her to die. But he was saying horrible things on Twin Galaxies. So I told the administrators, and being a secret admin myself, I have access to the back channels, and they banned him. They gave him a 6-month ban, and they told him, don't contact us or we'll double it. And so what does he do? He contacts them again, swearing, being foul, being retarded, because that's what he is, and he got banned. So his current banishment is 4,096 years. So that's pretty much a lifetime suspension for him.
If Twin Galaxies is around 100 years from now, because, just because you might be having a few doubts, you just got to take some time to work things out. Little things you cry about.
That they're in it for the long haul if they're willing to ban people for 4,900 years.
It ain't gonna matter 100 years from now. Data God.
So
now, Rudy might be. He might be part of the undead, like Cataspira, like she's part of the non-living, and so maybe he will be around for 4,000 years. Who knows? But in that 4,000 times, he's not going to get any gaming accomplishments that are actually valuable or that anything anyone would actually care about watching.
Okay. Well,
there we go.
We've definitely heard
some serious shade has been thrown.
So we've heard both sides. Bill, is there anything else you would like?
I want to change the topic completely. Can I change the topic completely?
We'll try.
Why not?
I'll probably bring it back.
Now, I appreciate free speech, okay? And so I'm sure you guys do. So I'm going to say something that might be offensive.
Oh.
But
That'll be a first here on the XCast.
there's a guy in Texas. I like to call him Fat Prick Patterson. Okay. All right. So Fat Prick Patterson, he has a bee in his bonnet over Twin Galaxies trading cards. I had a stack of, I still have them, Patrick Scott Patterson trading cards. I've got about 34 of them because I received a gift because he demanded that Walter Day destroy all the cards, which is nonsense because he gave Walter permission to print them. And now he's retroactively revoking his right because he's a fat prick. Okay.
Are his
anyway?
cards
So I have all these
jumbo size?
cards.
I'm just wondering.
They're
Is
extra
it the
wing
same size
flavors.
as like my trading card, or is it twice the size?
No, they're probably twice as greasy. But anyways, they're just, Bumblefuck Patterson, his face on the cards. I took a picture of the pile of cards I have, and I put it on Facebook. Hey, look at this. Look at it. It's like a reverse jackpot. The more you have, the less they're worth. He reported that for copyright violation. He issued a DMCA copyright violation takedown notice, and Facebook suspended me for 3 days because of it. He said he owns my photograph of his fat ass face on a trading card, and it's ridiculous. That's how much of a lying son of a bitch he is.
Son of a bitch, George Washington.
Damn.
Wow. All right.
Well, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
So, while we're here,
I guess I appreciate it.
please, I'm speaking in jest here. William, are you going to deny ever performing oral sex on Jay Saul?
Oh, come on.
That accusation was made against you earlier, so I should.
I see now. I missed out that completely.
Okay,
now,
let's
I just like to hear him
seriousness.
say no, because I'm pretty sure it's not true.
In all seriousness, I don't kiss and tell. So there you go.
Thank you for taking that. That was a joke, and thank you for taking.
Oh, I know. I don't care. Rudy is so homoerotic himself that he can't help but try to insult people by calling them gay. And remember, I know everything about Rudy. I know all about his obsession with fat chicks and all the married women that he picks up on those dating apps and all the cheating that he does, and all the group sex that he has with fat guys and fat girls and their husbands watching. Hey, good for him. He has fun, whatever. But I know all this, and he's the one that says that I'm gay. Okay, whatever.
All right, folks, that's competitive gaming for you.
That was William McAvoy.
Yeah,
Listen, I'm making jokes here. People are making jokes. I'm just perpetuating some of the fun. Oh, I mean, come on. We can make jokes about this stuff, can't we?
But whatever Rudy does in the world, you got to give him credit. He is entertaining, right?
Oh,
well,
why do we tolerate him?
That's the whole thing when it comes down to this. When it comes down to some of these people that you're referring to based on these trading cards, to all the way to Rudy, all the way to Mr. Billy Mitchell himself, is they are putting them, like you said earlier on this, they are free game. Like you said earlier, I did hear that on the way over here. You put yourself out there, you purposely are trying to absorb as much media coverage. You better have a tough skin, because if you say something the wrong way or you do something improper, it's going to come back at you. And so what? You got to deal with it.
When you make, speaking especially in legal terms too, when you make yourself a public figure in one way or another, then you lose your expectation of privacy. The Supreme Court here in the United States, William, I know you're not in the United States, but the Supreme Court here in the United States has ruled on such, to be honest with you. Mr. McAvoy, thank you for your call. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Stay warm in Antarctica, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, buddy. Okay, that was William McAvoy. Him and Rudy, I don't think they like each other.
No, they don't.
What do you guys?
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're.
Is it competitive video game? The community here is like a high school, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
is.
It's like a high school, and
it's like we try to, and I think we've actually even succeeded in it tonight a little bit. We've tried to nullify the toxicity a little bit, but
we drop a little bit of that antidote in, and it gets eaten up pretty quick with the with the toxicity.
And actually, based on what you guys were talking about, I kind of did want to bring a subject back to the Mitchell score. You know, when he, in my opinion, this is my opinion, like there's some evidence that I'm positive on, and there's some things I give Billy the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to that 1.062 score, I believe that this is more of a karma thing, that his score is being ultra scrutinized because, in terms of sportsmanship, when it comes to the other competitor gamers, he did jump in line because he had a special relationship with Todd Rogers, that score got accepted quicker. I'm not saying it's a bad score, but Bill Mitchell was able to skip multiple steps that other gamers at that time had to go through more steps than he did.
Like Steve Wiebe, for
like
instance?
Steve Wiebe. Okay. And then the fact of the matter that he, we'll talk about, you guys can argue about those tapes, if they're real tapes or why they look like MAME or whatever, that he was standing in front of. It's not like somebody forced Billy Mitchell to put those tapes on display. That's something he wanted to do and bring on himself, that the International Video Game Hall of Fame it's awesome, it's cool, I'm glad Walter's doing it, I'm going to do something big. It is about me. It is about me and setting new scores and putting this Donkey Kong thing to rest. So it's kind of, he got the fame for it, like he says he likes, no matter if it's good or bad. But now the extra scrutinizing, well, I think you kind of deserved it because the way you talked about your scores and how you presented them and how you made the YouTube videos of the supposed proof and stuff like that. So regardless if the score is good or not, you know, it's coming back. In my opinion, it's a little karma for
whether or not Billy did that, though. It seems like that's what happens, though. Whether it's basketball, hockey, baseball, or competitive video game.
Practice. We'll talk about practice.
Well, I mean, you know, people always go and say, "Oh, well, you know, LeBron James, you know, he could get away with most. He could get away from most things that other players can't.
Sure.
Or Sidney Crosby can get away with most things that other players can't." And again, I'm not saying that that's Billy Mitchell. I mean, that may be Mike's opinion. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case for Billy. Mike seems to think that is. I don't know. But if it is, that's something that happens in competitive gaming and in
competition.
Hockey and competition.
Just in competition. You know, Mike, I guess this question I'm going to ask you, I guess it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. It doesn't matter. But is it really even worth having this conversation about a score that now sits at number 12?
Well,
on the database, you know.
Well, see, this is where it kind of goes back to legitimacy. People want legitimacy out of Twin Galaxies. People want legitimacy out of the Donkey Kong forums. And you want to talk about legitimacy, you want to talk about speedrun.com. Those people are brutal on themselves. You think this is not this? It's big because Billy Mitchell is the video game player of the century. He's the first famous video game player. So that's why it's kind of big. But in the speedrunning community, oh man, you get slaughtered. And I do see some comments here, and this is something that I like Twin Galaxies for, is that you have to use your real name. You have to get real credit.
Sure.
And this is where if you get slammed or slander or people are threatening your scores or your names, on the speedrun community, you can choose to use your real name or you can choose a handle. So you can kind of hide from some aminosity when it comes to, you know, real life stuff, if you want to call it that.
Right.
But obviously, you know, you can't go back and change time of, you know, what's happened. It's not about removing the score. It's about just, I think the Twin Galaxies reason, I don't know what the Donkey Kong forum is, but with the users, it's to try to build some stability and some credibility with Twin Galaxies being the official source. That's really what it is. And the problem is you can't just remove one person's score. You got to, if something else is not legit and there's supporting evidence, let's at least talk about it.
Have a conversation.
Have a conversation. Unfortunately, it is forums. I hate forums. I've always said this on Twitter. I hate the Twin Galaxies forum. Guess what the dispute system is? It is a forum. There is no filter. Everybody doesn't say anything intelligently or logically, and people will leave out information on purpose. So it's really not the best part. So that's why I am glad that there is still technically a head referee or a commissioner that strikes.
Sure.
But it is unfortunate for people scores who, might, or people really who get tossed into this because of a score. But once again, like when I think about it, who's the best Donkey Kong player in the world? Like I said, all this talk, we haven't even said, we said Robbie Lakeman once, or Wes Copeland.
Yeah.
It's really, these scores are pretty much meaningless other than he's, Billy would
From a historical perspective.
Other than Billy would have been the first person to get $1 million. The way I look at it, $1 million is not very much. And for my personal opinion, that is the worst play to die Donkey Kong. The better and more impressive way, if you want to make me impressed playing Donkey Kong, I want to see you speed run it, because the purpose is to save the princess, not sit next to Donkey Kong on the girder level and jump up and down for a lousy 100 points. I call that, what is it called?
Point pushing.
Point pushing, which I'm sorry, I can jump next to the Donkey Kong. That's
Yeah. I hesitate to use
Save
the
the
term
princess.
Point pushing. I agree with you, Mike. I do
Save the
agree with you.
princess.
And actually, I have a feeling that Bill Mitchell, to some degree, would agree with you. I'm not speaking for him by any means, but I remember people criticizing him
Fact of the matter is,
when he kill screened Pac-Man, saying, "Well, somebody else has kill screened Pac-Man faster." He said, there's no speed. Like, kill screen's a kill screen. There's no time in Pac-Man. That was an added factor later.
I know. And then he started saying I'm the first person, and then there's egos going back. And
No,
forth.
there is for sure. But hey, I'm with you with the saving the princess idea.
That's not a
Once
problem,
again, it's a
but-
terrible game. If I see a Donkey Kong,
I mean,
I'm going to burn it.
I hesitate to use the word point pushing in a game that has time.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
The game is time.
That's why I don't completely throw it off. I still see it impressive when some guys somehow inch out another couple thousand points.
Sure.
It's really cool, but yeah, it's like I said, we're talking about a 10th and 12th place score, but it's for example, my score that got removed was a 4th place score. It's just making sure that logically things are done correctly, so we can try to put some confidence in some scoreboard.
Sure.
That's all.
Hey, Mike, I don't agree with everything you said, but you make your points very well, very succinctly. You know your stuff. You know what you're talking about. I don't think you have said one thing tonight on this show that is controversial. I really don't think you have.
I don't want to be controversial.
No, I don't think you are, and I think you've made your points well, and I think you've made them succinctly. Listen, Mike, let's reference something. There's a person who has been referenced on this show quite a bit tonight already. I'm not going to pretend and dance around the name. We're talking about Patrick Patterson here.
Oh, okay.
This is a person who I'm not going to call names. I'm not. I'll be honest. I don't think.
Can I say one thing?
I don't think he's. Hang on, in a second.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I don't think he's a very nice person. I don't think he's a very good person. I don't.
Many of you might know him as Scott Patterson, but we call him Patrick Patterson because we're not his friends anymore, according to him, and only his friends can call him Scott.
I calling him Patrick Patterson because that's his name. I don't know.
Well, that's why we are, but he said that my friends call me Scott, and he said we're not friends anymore, so that's why I call him Patrick.
I've never seen his birth certificate.
So Josh, I've never seen your birth certificate. I believe your name's Josh.
So exactly, I believe your name's Mike. So, but he's on social media as Patrick Scott Patterson. I don't, he's not a serial killer, so I'm not going to use all three of his names. So just Patrick Patterson.
Okay.
So I'm just going by that. I don't know. I mean, he could call into the show and tell me otherwise at any time. He said multiple invitations to call into the show, and
he invites you all the time, doesn't he? To
no,
call him?
I don't think so.
He will. He will.
Oh, I've never heard that he has.
He'll offer it up to you.
I don't know.
Likely.
He's blocked me on social media.
But his phone call's always open if you want to talk.
I talked to him today.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, so you know this. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I spoke with him today.
Okay.
Actually, I just wanted to extend this invitation and if he were to ever call in, this goes for Catherine DeSpira as well, someone who's criticized the show.
if you were to call in, you would get the same treatment that Adam and I were criticized for giving Bill Mitchell. Where
Could
you would be allowed to talk.
could that be on cue? I don't know.
Caller, you are live on the XCast.
Hey, Michael, you have any questions for me?
Oh, is this Rudy again?
Well, yeah, I figured now that it's after the show, you guys are taking more people because obviously Mackie Boy has been in there for 20
All right,
minutes.
Rudy, you got 90 seconds, buddy. Seriously, you got
90 seconds. I mean, McAvoy could say whatever he wants. He could think whatever he wants. It doesn't change the facts. He wishes he was like me. A lot of people do. I play all kinds of games. I have a world record on at least one popular or so-called game that matters. So therefore, it's all bullshit. It doesn't matter if Rudy Gray tomorrow, creates the greatest game of all time, gets the best record on Donkey Kong. I'll still be ridiculed and I'll still be looked down upon. But it doesn't change the fact that I am the console player of the century. I am the most loved and hated player in the friggin' history of video gaming, and it'll never change. And my name will always be mentioned all over the world, no matter where you go. I may never have the money like little Billy and his little, dick fuckers, to give him, but at least this. I have pride. I know what I've done. People know what I've done. You guys know what I've done. It's
true,
documented.
Rudy.
It's proven.
It is true,
It's not
Rudy.
fake.
I drive I-75 down through Ohio a lot, and I always stop at this rest stop, and your name is always over all
That's right.
the
I'm your
stops.
showstopper.
It's amazing.
I heard
That's your high score there too.
I heard they named the Rudy in the Cosby Show after Rudy. Is that true?
What's that?
Nothing.
Rudy.
No, my name actually comes from my mother's father, who was a Navy SEAL, and you can look it up. I'm not Patrick. I don't make up lies. Go look it up. Very handsome man, and my grandmother married him, and he's the only white Rudy I've ever known of besides myself.
Oh, that is something. Rudy, thanks for the call.
Wait, one thing, Rudy. Rudy, what happened to your New York Rangers?
Oh yeah, how's number two?
What's his name? No, I'm not mad at all. I'm sad, but you know what? We're getting all these first round draft picks. We're going to be fucking set for years. So
How's
I'm
Brandon
very
Smith doing
proud
over there?
of what we've done, but I am mad at my team that we never fucking brought the cup to New York like we should have. We had a lot of chances and we blew it. So, I'm happy and sad at the same time. It's sad to see people go, but we've got a bright future ahead of us. These kids are going to come in, and we're gonna destroy everybody eventually, and I'm proud of that.
Thanks for taking Brandon Smith off our hands. We got like a fourth rounder, which is better than
dude, when you get a bunch of friggin' first round, second round draft picks, there's no way you're going to fail. We're doing good. We're doing good.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Rudy.
We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you, Rudy. Okay. Okay, back to the. By the way,
reality.
If William McAvoy wants to call and again report, we will give you 19 seconds.
We just shorten it by
right. I'm gonna just keep going back and forth. Okay, for
They could continue this.
Right. And if we continue to where
there's still people watching, so I mean, it's as long as it's entertaining. Like I think, like my show, my job is to inform and more importantly, entertain you about the world of competitive gaming.
That is your job. That is your job. Mike. The thing I was bringing up, Patrick Patterson.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that already.
I'm not doing this I'm not trying to start anything. I'm really not. But he made an accusation. Someone showed me some information. Made an accusation that you and I.
Was it on social media?
It was on social media.
I love Facebook.
Yeah, social media is so awesome. Yay. But an accusation was made that you and I stole the idea of our shows from his pregnant wife. Now, I don't know exactly what his what that accusation is based on. I haven't done a lot of research. I've met Patrick's wife. What's her name? Melissa, right?
Melissa, yeah.
Yeah, very nice woman, by the way. I have zero negative things to say at all about her. She seemed like a very nice woman. I don't think she was pregnant the one time we met her. I don't think she. I mean, I don't think she was. I've only met her once, and I want to assure the world that Mike and I did not steal any of our podcasting ideas from anybody. We definitely didn't steal them from
Podcasting was a big thing in 2005, and we started it then, and it was still really big in 2008. It's actually still big right now. You're listening to us.
It is, and Mike and I have been doing this for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Mike has had these dreams to do this kind of stuff since we were little kids.
Mike is my Yoda when it comes to podcasting.
Actually, I think there's a listener named Steven who's actually watching our show. He was actually on the first show of the Late Show with Michael Sroka when I was 12 years old, and there's videotape footage of that. And Sonic Spinball is the theme music for the show.
Very cool.
So you want to talk about video game relating it? There you go.
Before Walter Day asked Mike to take over and do the Twin Galaxies podcast, before that we hosted a show called Detroit Rowdy Radio.
You might not want to watch it. Listen to
it. Download it. It's funny. But and even before that, we did Detroit Rowdy Radio before it was even called podcasting, when we would just stream live out of Mike's parents' house here in Redford, Michigan. No, that was in Livonia, Michigan.
Yeah, Livonia.
And listen, we've been doing this for a really long time, guys. We didn't steal any ideas from anybody.
There's been multiple video game shows on YouTube before we did our podcast.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, Mike and I on that show.
If anything, I stole the idea from Walter Day. And oh my God, I know it's Blaine Lockhart. Yes. I stole it from them.
But Mike, you didn't steal it from them because he asked you to do it, so that means he gave it to you.
Continue it.
Yes. He gave it to you. If someone says, "Here, take this $5," you didn't steal $5 from them. They gave it to you. To you. They asked you to please take this. So listen, we definitely, certainly have not stolen.
And I didn't steal anything because I didn't get paid for it for 7 years.
By the way, later when that
I didn't steal anybody's work or anybody's food out of their.
And if you ever did,
I can't think.
If you ever did feel the need to look up Detroit Rowdy Radio, the reincarnation of it afterwards had a monthly spot where I used to bring on a person by the name of Patrick Scott Patterson to come on the show.
You can go download old Growdy episodes by going to theempiremedia.com and following the link under the radio. The radio drop down at the top.
We get no money if you do it.
Yeah, it's all just there. Patrick Patterson was part of the show. We were friends. At least we're friendly. And,
hold on.
Caller, you're on the XCast.
It's Data God again. Do I have 18 seconds?
You have. Let's give you 27 seconds.
Hang on. Don't.
27
no,
seconds.
Hang on. I'm timing you. Just quiet.
Mike's timing.
When I say go,
okay,
you can go.
Rudy Ferretti is
No.
Mike's getting a stock clock out for you.
2, 1, go.
Go.
Okay, cool. Rudy Ferretti is an obsessive compulsive loser. He obsessively compulses over his failed accomplishments, because this is the only thing he's ever accomplished in life, is playing Jaws for 24 hours straight, pissing on the floor, pissing on towels on the floor. Twin Galaxies mocked him live while he was doing it. They go, "Is Rudy really pissing? He's peeing all over the floor." Okay? he does things like that. He plays Home Alone.
10-second warning.
Because okay, there you go.
You got 3 seconds.
Oh, you got 3 seconds. Take it.
Oh, I thought you said I was boring.
No.
You have 3 seconds.
He said 10 seconds.
You have 3 seconds left.
He was giving you a 10-second warning. Okay, go. Take your 11 seconds.
Damn! Now I got lost. Okay, so he plays ridiculously slow games. He doesn't play fighting games. He doesn't
3,
play
2,
smash 'em up. He doesn't
1.
play
Bye,
shoot 'em
got
up.
it, Data God.
That was a little more harsh.
That was more. So, if you call in, we'll give him what? 28?
10 seconds.
William McBoy, thank you for the call. We do appreciate it.
This is fun. Now it's fun.
The crazy forces have taken over my show. Rudy, if you want to call in, you get 16 seconds.
All right, let me reset the clock.
Caller, you are.
Caller, who is this?
Okay, that's enough. It's my turn now.
Okay, you got 16
seconds.
Hold on, Rudy, don't talk
Hold
yet.
on, Rudy.
Don't
Rudy.
talk yet. We're getting your timer ready.
Yeah, I mean, you got this guy.
Stop talking. Stop talking. You're going to lose.
Rudy,
Every time I hear a breath,
we're getting
you're going to lose 3 seconds. All right, so
okay, no problem. Let me know.
You just lost 3 seconds.
Okay.
You didn't listen to the directions.
Okay.
It's like Rudy getting banned from Twin Galaxies.
You get banned from me. You got 15 seconds.
You got 19.
Okay, 19 seconds. 3,
I need more
2,
16 seconds.
16
19
seconds.
Go for it, Rudy.
Go.
Okay, here's the deal. Okay, I have more perfect scores on a fucking the biggest iconic console of all time than anybody does. Nobody's even close, including Tambataba. Okay, I took a friggin' basketball game, a popular basketball game called Tecmo NBA. Let the computer beat me down to 140 to nothing. Came back in 3 periods to come back from 140 down. Nobody's ever going.
Rudy, thank you so much.
Thanks so much,
That was
Colin.
a powerful 19 seconds. We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
If Mr. McAvoy insists on calling back, we'd be happy to give him 11 seconds.
Wow, they're on cue, man. They're just doing it. They're not even waiting for the internet.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Oh, goodbye.
Oh, bye, Rudy.
Goodbye. You're not
90 seconds,
listening.
so-
You're not listening.
No, Rudy, that's
You're not
that was
listening.
it. Your time was up. Rudy, your time was up. You will be given a few seconds if and only if Mr. McAvoy decides to take advantage of his time. Listen, it's been fun. Mike, there were some people wondering out there if you at one point had a tape or had some.
Oh, you
some
want to clear
footage.
the air?
Yes.
Yeah, the only footage, and I know I've gotten a lot of crap from the old crowd for posting a video that Billy asked me to videotape of him. That video that I videotaped with his hands on those 2 TVs was asked for by Pete Bouvier and Billy Mitchell to tape it. Now, granted, Billy wouldn't wear my microphone, so that's why that video was never posted on the Twin Galaxies podcast, because it sounds like crap. That is my only video. I never received a tape. I was not a referee at the time. Josh was not a referee at the time. And
Never
Matthew
have been.
Bradford was not a referee at the time. We were not involved in the secret vote that allowed that score to be good at that Big Bang event. So if you want, there's my testimony. You can believe it or not. But I never got a tape nor access to any of those tapes. The only tapes I've received as the Twin Galaxies referees is a 12-hour run of Yar's Revenge.
Yikes. That sounds
And I
miserable.
verified that. And that's about it.
That sounds miserable.
It
It is
was.
true. I mean, we have said in the past, yes, that time at the Big Bang Theory, as was clarified.
He just said Big Bang Theory. That's awesome.
Oh, Big Bang Theory. Oh, at the Big Bang. That's funny. At the Big Bang.
That's my
As was verified 2 weeks ago.
All right.
I was there. Mike was there. Phil Day was there.
Yeah.
Matt Bradford was there. We were not referees. That is true.
All right.
Yes, caller, you are
Hey.
on the XCast.
Yeah, it's actually William Rose. I wasn't going to watch, but everyone I knew was watching, and so I missed a lot. I've only seen like the last 15 minutes. No, it might have been a little more than that. But Michael's was so entertaining. I loved your pedantic timing. It's really impressed me, and I just wanted to show a little support. So yeah,
Cool.
I figured I'd give my view on some of the earlier stuff if you
Sure,
still
go
wanted to
for
hear
it,
it.
William. Absolutely, go for it.
All right, you were talking about. I care a lot about the new system, and it's not perfect by any means. Now, Josh, I don't know you very well at all, but I have looked at your website. Your Facebook page a bit, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're an anarcho-capitalist or just a libertarian, but you're something along those lines. And I've
Yes,
read
I
a
am.
lot.
I'm a
I've read a
libertarian.
lot
Yes.
of anarcho.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
go
missed
ahead.
that.
No, I was just saying, yeah,
Well,
you could identify me as a libertarian. Sure, I definitely don't have a problem with that. What's up?
And I've read a lot of anarchist literature, and of course, I think some of it makes really good points. And I think what's really interesting about the way Jace Hall runs Twin Galaxies, it's almost like he took all the good, logical, solid parts of anarcho-capitalism and left out the fantasy parts that don't apply. Because people overall do work together. There is, with capitalism, you're punished for mistakes and rewarded for success. That's the beauty of credibility. Everyone complains credibility has issues, but at the same time, it's a reward-punishment system. And I really do think it works. I'm not going to deny there's theoretical issues that can happen. You brought up the analogy of a sports team.
Mhm.
But imagine if it was a football game, and it wasn't just the two football fans voting. It was every other football team. And it was basketball team fans. And it was hockey team fans. If it was much more encompassing, that'd be a better analogy. And I think the voting could work.
I think that
Compare
was my
that
analogy.
to.
I
I'm
think that
sorry.
was-
Yeah, I thought it was just two teams.
No, the two teams were playing, but everyone would vote. Is where my analogy lied. So yeah, it would be basketball fans and football fans and people that knew about it, people that didn't know about it. It would be anyone watching from home.
Okay, that's a fair analogy then. I thought you were saying with just the fans of each of those teams.
No, the fans would be included, but everyone would be included. Everyone that watched the Super Bowl.
Okay, no, that's a fair analogy. Then that's definitely fair.
Thank you.
Now, while that's still going to have some issues, contrast that to what if the referee was a member of one of the teams as well? Wouldn't you agree that's way more ridiculous?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, that's what that's what I feel like the old system was, because the old referees were allowed to compete. So it used to be referees were also players. And no matter what flaws we have now, I gotta think it's better than letting players be referees and decide whether or not the competitor's score goes through.
Well, technically, we are referees. I mean, we're a small portion because we also technically vote on our own submissions that we believe that they're valid too, in a smaller type of way. It's not all encompassing where, Adam verifies my score.
We do. I just want to know that our system has flaws, but I trust it a lot more than when, it's I think a large group is less susceptible to corruption than a small group. And so especially a small group that's allowed to compete on and determine their competitors. And I want to get that point across. I don't know if you said anything earlier I would have responded to, but I definitely want to respond to that. And other than that, anything, why do I care about what people on the part of Twin Galaxies do anymore? Because we all play video games, we're friends of friends, we see each other on Facebook. It would be nice if after this is all over, we all get along with each other.
Go ahead,
we all second that.
Yeah. It ain't gonna matter 100 years from now.
Right. Mr. Rosa,
say.
thank you very much for the call. We do appreciate it. We appreciate the insight. Anything else? You got 20 seconds if you want to throw anything else out there. I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's it. I don't feel the need to get involved in any sort of piss and match online.
Good for you. Good for you. We do appreciate that. Hey, thanks for the call.
Thank you, Will.
Rosa. We appreciate it.
I'll bring up another quick point about the transparency of the new system. Regardless if it gets voted in, yes or no, the beauty of it, let's say it is an accepted score, but you're on the other side, you actually have the video evidence, thanks to technology, that you can make your own decision. And who's going to tell you what you believe? You can look at the video and go, oh, no, I don't believe it. Whatever. That's just my personal preference. At least you can actually make your decision for yourself. It might not be the decision that the masses have, but at least with the new system, everybody is at least provided with the same. We'll go back to football. Everybody's getting the same camera angles. The people at home, the referees, the people work the NFL. Everybody can at least view it and make their own opinion. Doesn't mean that's going to be what's in the record books, but at least everyone can see it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Mike. And Mr. Rosa made some good points too. The adverse to that though is that when you let the community adjudicate. And everyone then, in essence, is a referee, or at least at the very least a potential referee, that then what you do is you throw away any sort of vetting process. Now, you can say that the old guard, the old way of doing it, that those referees were corrupt. Maybe they were.
Well, the problem is we know some of them weren't.
Right, but the thing is, back then, under the Pete Bouvier method, under the Walter Day method, there was supposed to be, or at least at the very least, supposedly a vetting process where these people were vetted. They were shown to be unbiased referees.
Yeah.
And that is what a referee is supposed to be. They were supposed to have shown that they have a knowledge of the video games, that they are unbiased, and that they want what is best for the video game scoreboard. Pete Bouvier at one point wanted me to become a referee and told me all the stuff I want to do. I said, I don't feel like it. I just don't want to do that. I don't feel like watching 20-hour videotapes. Sorry. Call me a jerk.
It's just that's the way it was.
And
I mean, it may suck to some people, but that's the way it was.
Right. And were they corrupt? I don't know. Maybe some of them were. Maybe some of them were corrupt. Maybe some of them didn't do the right thing. But the idea behind a referee is that they are supposed to be as impartial as possible.
Well, I'll for my short 2-3 months in that inner circle that when things were falling apart, it was happening. It wasn't happening, on major games or major people, but there was, we'll say, information withheld and things not shared, and because somebody had a specific opinion, it was blocked by somebody else. Sure. It wasn't. There was no vetting. There wasn't vetting going on at that point. I'll blame Pete Bouvier for that.
I will make one statement that is semi-bold. A semi-bold statement is someone that has been connected to Twin Galaxies officially in the past. I will make one statement without naming any names that I know to absolutely positively be true. I know that there were very good referees who were very impartial and who just always just did the right thing and were good referees. I also know for a fact there were bad referees who were corrupt and were not impartial. And it doesn't mean every score they ever did was bad.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing is,
and the good referees, it doesn't mean they never made a mistake.
Yeah, and that's true too.
I do know that there were both, and there absolutely positively were good ones, and there absolutely positively
and
were
people
bad
getting
ones.
all excited about the dispute system. Every score is not going to be corrected. Every score, even if the logical evidence is going to be removed, like I said, I believe in about maybe 6 months that dispute system is going to cool down, and maybe people will get back to actually competing.
I hope so. This will probably be our last call.
Yeah, let's take one more.
Caller, you're on live on the XCast.
Okay, I only need 8 seconds.
Okay.
8
Hey,
seconds. We'll give you the go, though, okay?
We got to give you the go.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Go.
Charlie Zelenoff is a delusional boxer. He thinks he's the best boxer in the world. You watch the Charlie Zelenoff documentary on YouTube, you'll go, oh my God, that's Rudy Ferretti.
There you go, folks.
He got it in his 8 seconds.
There he goes. He did some planning. I think he did some practice.
I think he did,
because there was a long period. He's like, what can I say with the max amount of time, with the max amount of punch? Literally, no pun intended.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should have intended that pun, sir.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that about wraps us up for the XCast. We are going to do, this is non-video game related. I hope Mike still chimes in, but we are going to close like we always close the show with Around the Empire with Adam Hernandez.
Oh, I can't sing 100 Years From Now by Huey Lewis?
Nope.
I can't sing us out?
No, go ahead.
Nope.
You can sing.
When that happens.
Yeah,
when
no.
leaving.
When we're leaving, you can sing us out.
Thank you.
I'm taking off my game tonight because of just all of the.
Because you've been working. Why do these people play video games?
You have been the call screener, the producer, the co-host. You have been a little bit everything tonight, Adam.
If I had to screen all these calls, you're a braver man than I would ever be. That's why I said on the screen, stop taking calls.
Yeah, for sure. This is not a normal format for the XCast, so we do thank you, Adam.
Oh, well,
I don't. Except I enjoyed this microphone.
I was using that was like the royal we.
I didn't know you guys. I didn't know you guys took phone calls on the screen.
We did. We took 8 phone calls at the same time from a time period from 2014 to 2006. Video phone calls. And anybody could come in at any time, and it was almost a disaster sometimes.
Why was that?
Because we had no control over those cameras.
So
it was another Skype array at another studio location that would feed our video in with Ninglendo's, and then 6 other people who had the Skype public number to call in with their own video, and they could join the conversation at any time with their own video, and we couldn't control the video. We couldn't kick people out. I mean, we could ask somebody to do it, but let's just say it's not immediate.
So it was almost like a kind of like a chat roulette type of thing.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't. It never got to that point.
It never got to that.
Nothing. But it was that. It's the radio thing. When you guys have people calling in, they're listening to your show so loud, like turn down the car radio, and then we can't hang up on them if they're not listening to us. It was. It was the fun times of being on the Twin Galaxies Twitch page for I don't know how long that was. 2 years, 2.5 years. That was a lot of fun. Nick smoked cigars every show. He liked it then.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I don't know if anybody's heard this, but MLBPA is filing a grievance against 4 teams. 4 teams in Major League Baseball: the Oakland Athletics, the Miami Marlins, Tampa Bay Rays, and Pittsburgh Pirates. For them not spending any money this offseason. They're not spending any money, as you would see.
On players?
On players,
Or,
yes.
Or the organization?
On players.
Okay.
On players, yep. So basically what's happening is they're not living up to what's in the collective bargaining agreement. They're not spending money that they are gaining through revenue sharing.
Oh,
For
so
instance,
they're taking more profits.
Exactly.
than they should.
Owners are lining their pockets. They're not using the money that is given to them through revenue sharing.
Does it have to go to players according to the collective bargaining agreement?
I believe it does.
Okay.
Take for instance, back in 2015, I believe the Yankees had to pay out like $90 million in revenue sharing. And again, the whole point of revenue sharing is to help smaller market teams be more competitive. And I know Josh is going to have a big problem with this.
I probably have a problem with it too.
I do too.
But
one thing I love about baseball is that it's not a salary cap league, and basically they're making a not salary cap league into like a salary cap league
because of this, yeah.
Because they're
like
forcing
that's
you
why I
to-
asked Adam that question. Can they spend it on other things? Because if they can spend it on the stadiums or advertising or some other type of form of promoting baseball in general, then I understand the collective bargaining agreement. But I look at it. Oh, we're spending on. It has to be spent on players' salaries, so they just get more and more rich.
And what if they continue to not do that and they continue to win?
Well, yeah, that's true too.
You know, I mean, why do you have to control?
Well, they're not though.
They might.
They're not.
We don't know that.
Have the Marlins been winning since they've been spending zero
the
amounts of money?
Marlins have had more success with World Series champions than my team, the Detroit Tigers, have since 1984 when I was 4 years
True,
old.
but they also spent a bunch of money when they won those World Series teams, though.
Good
too.
Good for them.
Go ahead, Mike.
Where did those four teams place in terms of record?
Well,
If it wasn't bottom four, they have no leg to stand on.
Well,
that's where I'm kind of getting at. They got to be competitive to make the games good.
Well, no, they do, and this is why that's why the MLB is somewhat complicit in all of this too. Because take for instance the Marlins. When Derek Jeter bought the Marlins from Jeffrey Loria, Major League Baseball knew that that they wanted to strip down that team even more, which is why they got rid of Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, and so on and so forth. They knew that they were going to strip down those teams, yet you have the MLBPA going after them, filing grievances against that. Now, that's nothing against MLBPA, because that's what the MLBPA is going to do. They're going to look out for their own players, especially what's in correlation to what's written in the latest collective bargaining agreement. And that's an agreement that both sides signed off on. And keep in mind, too, in most cases, the ownership is going to have most of the leverage when it comes to that negotiating.
Sure.
So the owners are going back on something that they agreed on to in the first place. I don't have a problem with the MLBPA getting pissed off about something like this. I don't have a problem with the team like the Yankees getting pissed off about something like this, because they have to fork over this money basically in a luxury tax to help these smaller market teams be more competitive. And if those smaller market teams are pocketing the money, and if that's going towards the owner's bottom line, then that's where the problem lies.
I don't have a problem with people getting upset about it. I have a problem with the initial deal.
And that's fine.
You know, I mean, the deal is set. I agree with you.
Yeah.
The deal is set.
In terms
So,
of honoring it, they're not honoring it. But the original deal stinks in the first place.
Moving right along here, Mike, Apple is planning to release 3 new iPhones.
Stupid.
Only
including
3?
the largest.
Who's going to get them?
Including the largest one ever. Apple is preparing to release 3 new smartphones later this year. Models include the largest iPhone ever, an upgraded handset that's comparable in size to the iPhone X, and cheaper model of the iPhone X that still includes some of the key features. I tell this story to people sometimes because I remember when the iPhone first came out, Mike was one of those suckers that went and spent all that money.
No, I'm not a sucker. I enjoy it. I still have my phone, and you know what? That's all I need. That's with updated technology.
No, but didn't they give you a refund though?
They gave me $100 back.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't care.
Because they lower the.
I don't care if they lowered the price 30 days later. It was worth $600.
That's not when you sent that nasty email to Steve Jobs.
No, that was years prior when I was an idiot. Steve Jobs told me that graphics designers worked on CRT glossy machines for years. You don't need. Sorry, I'm not giving you a matte screen on your laptop. I felt like an idiot when I got that,
but it was kind of cool that you got it.
Fucking Steve Jobs replied to my email. That's all I care. I wish he was still alive today, because then we could talk about Final Cut Pro, and I'd like to hear his answers about that. But
I'm sure he'd be dying to have your questions too.
He would. He would.
It's like, oh God, it's this.
You know what? If
again.
Steve Jobs was alive, Final Cut X wouldn't have been created.
He might still be alive.
That's true too. There's an Elvis conspiracy too. We can talk about that with that.
Yeah, we could. Maybe someday on Deep Issues.
Yeah, maybe we can do that on Deep Issues. Let's see.
So what were you going to ask me about the iPhones? I don't think you ever asked me a question.
Yeah, you did.
No, I was just saying, hey, Mike.
Oh, you're just telling me about it.
Yeah, I know you're.
I ain't buying it. I'm keeping my SE.
You're a big iPhone guy. I know that.
Yeah, I want the headphone jack still.
I agree with you. I hate how they.
Your adapter.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Stupid.
Well, I don't have that because I still have the.
Last time I checked, when we listen to audio, it comes in a analog format through a wire.
True.
It has to be decoded. True. If you have the earbuds, it's decoded to an analog signal that our ears can hear. Last time I checked, we don't have a digital optical port in our bodies to receive audio information. Not yet.
Wait till the
if they do, then I'm okay with not having a headphone jack on my iPhone.
Not yet. I mean, if you listen to a past episode of Deep Issues, you would know that we are very much on the pathway to having
Mark of the Beast, singularity. Don't get me started.
You don't need an iPhone in the future because it's in you.
Yeah, exactly. 11 Marines affected in a hazmat incident at Fort Myer near the Pentagon today. Investigators were on the scene of a hazmat incident Tuesday evening at Joint Base Myer-Henderson Hall next to Arlington National Cemetery and close to the Pentagon. The FBI and the Naval Criminal Investigative Service were called in, a Marine official said, after 11 Marines were affected by an unknown substance found when an envelope was opened. Local fire department hazmat teams responded to the scene within minutes. Apparently, these Marines had burning hands, burning face. Some of them had bloody noses that they were dealing with.
Man.
So yeah,
none of them became superheroes or supervillains afterwards.
I don't believe so. No. Let's see here. Foreign officials discuss manipulating senior aide Jared Kushner, who recently lost his full security clearance today. Thanks to John Kelly. Officials in at least 4 countries have privately discussed ways they can manipulate Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and senior advisor, by taking advantage of his complex business arrangements, financial difficulties, and lack of foreign policy experience. According to current and former U.S. officials familiar with the intelligence reports on the matter, this comes via the Washington Post. Let's see.
State is gonna state.
What was it?
State is gonna state.
Oh God.
What's up?
Caller, go ahead.
6 seconds.
Hey.
You got hang on, don't talk yet. You have 6 seconds.
Wait, let's see what this is about. Rudy, what's this about?
Oh, I just wanted to Skype in and talk normal, you know?
I think 6 seconds.
I mean, I deserve a chance too. I mean, I was in and out so fast, you know?
6 seconds.
You want to do 6 seconds?
Yeah, hang on, wait for us. 3, 2.
No, I mean, if I only have 6 seconds.
Go.
Don't worry about it.
Go ahead, bud.
Go, Rudy. Go ahead.
You better go.
No, the only thing I wanted to add was just about my accomplishments. I just wanted to know, the real deal about that,
Okay. Thanks, Rudy.
Thanks for those accomplishments.
Really
appreciate it.
Rudy,
thanks,
and I hope that both Mr. Ferretti and Mr. McAvoy feel that they got enough time to. I know they feel like maybe they were cut off, but at the same time they got more time than.
I hope they can bury the hatchet at some point.
Yeah, it's because it's not going to matter.
I really do. I hope they.
Because it's not going to matter.
Kill it, Mike.
It's not going to matter from 100 years from now. Huey Lewis. He knows his stuff.
Hey, as we close this show, Adam, did you have one more?
I have a picture I need to show everybody.
Cool.
Nevada police say a woman went to a school playground with an axe, threatened to kill everyone. Okay, today's day and age, obviously that's not something that's funny.
Right,
that's
yeah.
something that's very, very disturbing.
Definitely shouldn't do that.
Josh, there's her mugshot.
Oh, wow.
She is.
You're not gonna
autofocus.
see that. You're not gonna see
yeah,
that.
sorry.
Set it on the screen would have it up for you. Technical problems.
Hey,
yeah, I love you.
Yeah, oh my God. Where's Mike?
Okay, you know, hey,
I just found it now, dickhead.
Listen, I don't mean to be mean to this woman, but that is one ugly broad.
Yeah.
And that is one
Hey,
disgustingly.
you're born
ugly
with.
broad.
You're born with.
Right.
It's not her fault.
That is.
It's called the genetic.
I would say Rudy is definitely better looking than her.
Definitely.
Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rudy Freddy, the self-proclaimed best-looking video game player ever, is definitely better looking than her.
Yeah.
I don't care how many points she can throw down on Splatterhouse. Which sounds like she was trying to do a real-life Splatterhouse.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unfortunately, so I'm glad they stopped her. Hey, if I could make one more statement before we wrap up this show, I hope people enjoyed this. I hope it was enlightening to some degree. I hope that some people feel better about being able to get some stuff off their chest. I want to thank my two co-hosts, Mike Sroka and Adam Hernandez. These are the two guys that, hey, maybe this is a bad thing, but these are the two guys. Without them, I would not be able to do all the podcasting I've done throughout the years. They're great guys, and I really just want to thank both of them. While I have them both in the same room together, doesn't happen that often anymore.
I said Mike is my Yoda to podcasting.
Yes.
I learned stuff from him.
No, you did. I mean, but Mike and Adam, you two are the two most brilliant, computer producer guys that I know. So really,
producers, executive producers.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you both for all the years we've had. Not that it's coming to an end right now. All the years we've had putting some great podcasting together. And thank you both. You guys have done a lot. I couldn't have done all the stuff I've done throughout the years, some of which I'm very proud of without these two dudes. Right.
Thanks for having me on the show tonight. It was very fun, especially like I said. It doesn't matter what's going to happen here in the next who knows when
100 years.
The 100 years. But if these scores keep getting removed or don't getting removed, or the people involved, whether it's Jace Hall, Joel West, Billy Mitchell, or people we don't even know yet in gaming over the next 100 years from now, it's never as big as the scoreboard itself. The scoreboard will always be bigger. The only person who might be bigger than the scoreboard is Walter Day. And other than that, that's just because he's the lucky one that had to start doing it. But other than that, the scoreboard will always trump the characters and the people and the scores themselves. So always think about that, because it ain't going to matter 100 years from now when the EMP goes off and all the website data is gone anyways. Only those big books.
Somebody start writing it all down right now.
Yeah. Walter did do a book.
Yeah.
So.
Josh, you have a lot of notebooks, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I could start. I got the spare time.
Actually, with Walter, if the EMP did go off and all the data was lost, I don't even know if Billy would be the world record holder. It's like maybe some 600,000 or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think he is. I'll have to go look at my.
Yeah, no, it would be Bill's.
I'll tell you what. In that book, there is even more false scores that were already removed during Walter's 2000 era that have been removed from that book.
That is possibly a topic for another day.
No, it's not. No, never again.
But thanks everybody for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Hey, come in next week when we have Alicia Renee on as our special guest. Which she is linked to video gaming in some way. But singer, performer, Alicia Renee, she will be on next week. Come join us on the 13th of March for our next Deep Issue show. That is also the next edition of our new Empire Media Political Show. And before that, we will have an episode of The Loud State next week as well.
Next week, yep.
So we got a lot coming up on the EmpireMedia.com. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope we made lifelong listeners out of you.
See ya.
Thinking